What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at @6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. Yo, what's good, team? Peace, everybody. What's happening? Sixth element of hip hop. You're in the right place. I am your host, Reno, and our co-host Stu Dog is on the way. Just had a flight from Barbados or something. He's just getting in, so he's on the way home fighting traffic, trying to get in here for y'all. But we have a great show. We got some cool shit to talk about, as always. But the one thing that I think is the main topic that I know I've been dying to get into is House of the Dragons finale. It was fucking dope. Like, goddamn. So, while we're waiting on Stu, because we have a ton of shit to talk about, all kinds of great stuff. I mean, listen, come on, bro. When I tell you, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And I want to get, into the House of the Dragon breakdown, probably while we're waiting on Stu, because that'll be salute. Corey Adris in the building. What's good, fam? Peace to the sixth elementals. But crazy shit this finale, man. I mean, let me tell you, just crazy shit going down this finale. That's how he looks in the books. No, this is official. That is official. Sapphire in the eyeball. Yeah, man, doing it big. What's going on? So, so House of the Dragons finale. We've been, building up to this point. And it's been crazy, to say the least. I think there's so much to unpack. Honestly, that's what I'm kind of, it's like, where to begin, man. I really cannot stress enough how crazy this whole season was, but this episode in particular, the finale, the way they just topped it off was just they really killed it. I've got let me get my little graphic up for y'all. Where you at? There you go.
For those of you who have watched,
let's pull that over there. Yeah, baby. There you go. So we got the intro, as always, you know how the intro goes. Typically the same as it always is. This episode didn't change much. For the most part, all that changed was Patty Constantine's name is not the first one build. Now it's Matt, which is Damon. Because he died last episode, and his billing is replaced by Matt Smith, which makes sense. Damon Targaryen is a big player in this show, and I think that makes sense. First shot here is of the painted table. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, we got down here where they show the fires where Lionel and Harwin Strong got burned alive, and then the Vale of Aaron here is where Damon almost killed his wife in the riding accident. And then Luke touches Driftmark, the island that he will inherit when when Corlys, the sea snake dies. And he had the stab wound from the stepstones that we're seeing him come back from. And the kids, they clearly are not of blood. They figure it out. The kids figuring it out, because it's like, why is my granddad the sea snake and I get sick if I go on a dinghy? Like, I can't even hack it. So, but the death of Luke here was the big thing. And that sort of starts Rhaenyra's reason to go to war. She's been having restraint, and you've got, all the guys here, they're like down to go to war, ready to go. And she's like got restraint, which is kind of like, preparing her for, for the war to come. And, but they show him like, her son is flying along and kicking it, and she's like talking to him, trying to give him, you know you're seeing like the affection and the the love from the mother and the son. They're really playing that up and showing moments like this and certain things that is going to make it harder for you know it adds gravity to the death later. And then the Kingsguard comes in to announce Rhaenys arrives on Dragonback. And some of the Kingsguard have sided with Rhaenyra, while others with Aegon. But this gives her some legitimacy, so it's very important. And the Kingsguard are the big connection to the people from the king. But Daemon tests their loyalty, of course, and this dude brings her the crown, Eric, and the Kingsguard since this guy here on the right, he's been a Kingsguard since Jaehaerys, and he's Stefan Darklin, and all the way through Viserys. He's been a Kingsguard, and he's loyal to Rhaenys, or to Rhaenyra and Daemon, and they show that. And then Rhaenys pulls up on Dragonback, the queen who never was, to tell of the king's death and tell of the usurper and all of that. And the shock sort of causes Rhaenyra to go into labor early, way early. And her labor, and then Daemon's like, you could have killed them and you didn't. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Like, he's kind of suspect a little bit. But she's just intense, and the maesters and shit are worried because this is childbirth is a problem here. It's her fifth child, but something's different about this one. Something is wrong, and brilliantly they juxtaposed that the labor sounds, with her and Daemon's war room meeting, sort of, ignore it best you can, kind of thing. And the dragon keepers are conscripted, and they send patrols around the perimeter of Dragonstone, and patrols are set. And like Kristen Cole, trains the Greens boys, Stefan Darkwin is training the blacks. And Rhaenyra summons them to her labor room while she's in labor. She calls the boys to come, and she tells them of the queen's treason. And no one's to act until I'm done giving birth. Go tell Daemon. And he's like, seriously? Daemon never listens to anybody but Daemon. So we'll see. He's that, don't give a fuck kind of cat. You know what I'm saying? And then news from Evenfall, the place where Brienne of Tarth is from, her house. And then the sea snake is, is well. He's back. He's bounced back. But they don't know where he's been. And neither Rhaenys, or Corlys have sided with, or have said who they're going to side with. And at the coronation, when everybody's bowing to Rhaenyra, Rhaenys does not bow. And if you notice, her daughters there don't bow their heads fully either. They are taking a knee, but they don't bow their heads all the way. And she doesn't even take a knee. But not to be disrespectful, but they just haven't shown, they haven't chosen or decided or made it public who they're backing. But obviously the blacks are going to need that fleet if they're going to stand any chance of beating the Greens. You know what I'm saying? But Corlys believes that Rhaenyra is responsible for their son and daughter's death, and that their grandkids are bastards. You know what I'm saying? And Daemon, his sort of lust for war attracts his son-in-law Jace. But when he tells Daemon that Rhaenyra wants no action taken until she's done birthing, he goes ahead and does it anyway. Sends ravens to houses that he thinks will support them. I mean, he thinks he's got the Tullys on their side for sure. But Lord Grover of Riverrun is fickle, right? And easily swayed, and Rhaenyra knows that, and sending a raven might not be the best way to connect to him. So, but she has plans of her own, and doesn't want Daemon's hot-headedness to fuck shit up. She's way more adept at ruling. She has more knowledge of the house to house politics. and that kind of shit. And um, the Tullys too. And sidebar, the Tullys were all, in fact, named after Muppets. Yeah, Grover, Elmo, Kermit, Oscar, Tully. This is true. Uh, but this is when Damon shows Jace what real loyalty looks like, and he basically, puts it to the King's guards. Tell us who you're down with now. Give us your decision now, and don't lie, because if I find out, I'm gonna kill you now. We're gonna burn you alive right now if you say that you're going with their side. But don't lie, because if you switch out later, you're going to die very badly, very slowly, very painfully. You'll die screaming, I think is exactly what he says. Uh and then they again juxtaposed with Rhaenyra giving birth. Um and the baby, this is their battlefield, right? This is her war, and she's, dealing with it. A lot of people thought that this scene was too graphic. And it was graphic. I mean, the dead baby, the dead stillborn baby, um, looked like his head was a little bit dented. I mean, it was gruesome, but nothing compared to what was in the book. They toned it down a lot. Because when the when the babe at last came forth, she proved indeed a monster. It's a stillborn girl, twisted and malformed, with a hole in her chest where her heart should have been, and a stubby scaled tail. So they toned it down. It would have been way worse. They toned it way down. But the baby girl would have been named Visenya. And I'm starting to see the real parallels right now between Daenerys and Rhaenyra in a lot of ways. And you know, eh, the warriors aspect, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, it's just there's a lot of things, but then she has to sort of prepare the body of her own child, but um her son Balon would have been uh named Viserys had it been a girl. Because this is named after a warrior, the wife of Aegon, one of the sister wives of Aegon the Conqueror, and she rode Vagar, right? The big dragon. So she's dope. But like I said, um, Damon's mourning his because the baby was his, so he's mourning the baby. They burn the body in their Targaryen tradition, just like in episode 1 when they burned Viserys's son and wife. You know what I'm saying? And into the funeral rolls Eric. Remember, there's Eric and Eric and Eric. The Eric with the E, same dude who helped Rhaenys escape King's Landing, and the guy with the man bag. But in the man bag was the crown of Aegon the Conqueror that he, or of Viserys, that he spirited away to give to Rhaenyra and show his loyalty, which he does and swears fealty. And because he's not down with Aegon, he knows Aegon's a sexual predator. Like, this guy has treated women bad. I mean, really bad. He fights kids in the fighting pits, and he's got all these bastards that are just running around homeless, and he's not down with him. He feels like that dude is foul. So yeah, it's about to get crazy. But yeah, no land, no wife, no children, no guard, no CEO, obeys the commands, defies honor. So this is a very touching moment. Like, this was a real dope. Uh, you know what I'm saying? It got real, and it definitely brought a little tear to the eye. You know what I'm saying? I'll keep it a buck. But the war table. So we get to the war table, and you got the little high tower pieces and the dragonstone pieces, with the dope table that's sort of lit from beneath. So I guess that the wood is carved really thin, and they've got fire under the table. I don't see how the fire's not burning the table, but anyway, it's cool. It looks cool. It's just a fantasy. This is fantasy. Uh, you know, Science be damned. But yeah, it's dope, lit from beneath. And they introduce her in the traditional way, to everybody, as if she's queen already. first of her name, queen of the Andals and the Roynar, and the first man, lady of the Seven Kingdoms, protector of the realm, the whole traditional deal. And they're basically treating it as if she is queen. They have to. And then it's kind of cool how she her cupbearer, and she was the cupbearer for the king. But so she asked Damon, like, what's the numbers look like? And he's, they don't look good. 30 knights, 100 crossbowmen, 300 men at arms. It's a problem. So yeah, but Damon sends word to the city watch because, the city watch was always loyal to him. He ran the city watch. So he figures there are probably some guys that he can get on his side that, most of them should still be on his side. And, that will be able to spy for him and King's Landing and things like that. But Hightower knows, you know, there are two among the captains of City Watch that remain loyal to Damon. Let's replace them rather. But because he knows, he knows that Damon, has these loyalties in the City Watch, and so he wants to sort of take care of that right away. But you've got Celtigar of the Claw Island, Staunton of Rook's Rest, Massey of Stone Dance, Bar Amon of Sharp Point, and then Darkland of Duxkindale have all sided with Damon. So that sort of just leaves 5 big houses that haven't, are undecided or haven't announced yet. You've got the Aarons of the Vale, the Tullys of River Run, the Starks of Winterfell, the Valerians of Driftmark, and the Baratheons of Storm's End. And they're pretty confident that they'll get the Tullys, because Viserys was always cool with Lord Grover. And then Rhaenyra knows that Lord Baratheon has the hots for her, but, unfortunately, he died, and now his son, Boros, is running shit. And so that's totally a wild card. They don't know where he's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? And then there's Corlys and the Valerians. More on them in a minute. But the 2 main houses of the Greens are House Hightower and House Lannister. And remember, Jason Lannister is still probably salty that Rhaenyra shot down his proposal. And, he came all, went all out, and she just kind of dissed him. So he's probably got a little weight for that. But the bottom line is that this thing remains about who has the most dragons, which Rhaenyra has 7 to their 3. And then there's the 3 dragons with no riders. And then there are 4 dragons that have never had riders, that have never been claimed. And, they're wild, never had a rider. And then there's Grey Ghost, Sheep Stealer, and the Cannibal are the wild dragons out there. And then there's Daemon's eggs that he has incubating, which, dragons grow pretty fast, but they're still going to need 10 years to get to like fighting age, So, but to be fair, wars do last for years. It's possible that these could still be an asset, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, though. But it still ended at the end of the day, 14 dragons to 3 dragons for Team Black. So, but this is Game of Thrones, guys, even though it's House of the Dragons. So, we've definitely learned and been shown that in Game of Thrones, shit can just basically, turn on a dime, really, and so we can't really trust that everything is all kosher yet. But, Daemon's plan is to establish a foothold, in the mainland at Harrenhal, the same place that Harwin and Lionel, got fried. And from there, I think they'll try to cut off the West, come down, try to surround King's Landing, and have all the green heads just mounted on it. But the envoy from the king is sent. It's Otto Hightower coming with a message from Alicent. In the book, it's actually Grant and Mr. Orwell who comes telling the conditions of peace. But Rhaenyra strips him of his chains and puts them on Maester Gerardus. And when the scene first starts, the queen's nowhere to be found, making a big dramatic entrance on Cyrac, just like she did in episode 2. Only this time, she's not coming for her uncle, but for Otto. And Rhaenyra has balls of steel when she lands her dragon right on the opposite side and walks through them to it's a sign of strength. And you're probably intimidated with the dragon behind you. Daemon's in front of you, and the men surrounding him are Hightower guards, with the exception of Eric, who side with them, and Eric with the E side with the blacks. Otto's reading out the terms. Basically, if Rhaenyra bends the knee and acknowledges Aegon King, she'll get to keep Dragonstone and Driftmark and be able to pass them down to her kids. And Aegon the Younger would, and Viserys II would be like the squire and cupbearer of the king, with everyone having high places at court. People say, but Daemon's like, I'd rather feed my sons to the dragons than have them carry shields and cups for your lame ass, bastards. He tries to tell him he's got the sword, he's got the shield, he's got the name, he's got the crown, rather. He's anointed in front of thousands. You know what I'm saying? He's got all the rights. But the Greens have, already sent out generous proposals to all the Starks, the Baratheons, and all of this. And it'll probably, Rhaenyra rips off the hand of the kingpin, throws it away, calls him a traitor, and he loved that pin. But with Rhaenyra unable to budge, he's like pulling out the trump card. He's like, this is the page that they ripped out of the Septon's book in episode 1 to show the bond of friendship, between her and Alicent. And the fact that she's kept it all these years shows that she still loves her. And the page, but the page tells of Nymeria, the warrior queen who conquered, and will Rhaenyra conquer Westeros is the thing. But Daemon wants to go to war. She wants to hold composure. She's like, I'll tell you tomorrow. And it's a calculated move on her part, because if she can use that time to get more allies on her side, like Boros, the Baratheons, and the Starks, the Greens are going to have no choice but to surrender, and blood could be spared. But Daemon's not down with that. He the enemy's declared war. So like the way he sees it, you've done nothing. What are you going to do in front of all the lords? And she, clears the room. And, while Daemon wants to crush the rebellion, Rhaenyra reminds them that they've got bigger things than their ambitions to look beyond, referring to the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy that he passed down to her, right? But that was the prophecy that handed down, and supposed to go from ruler to ruler. But she didn't know that he didn't tell her that, right? So that he didn't tell him that. So at one point in time, he was the heir. So she thought that her father had told him the prophecy. But when he finds out that, what I'm saying, he just chokes her up. And physically, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did, and Viserys never telling Daemon of the prophecy also tells us that he never wanted or saw his brother as heir. But none of this was in the book, which is a testament to how the writers are rounding out the characters. And for the first time since episode 7, we see Corlys Velaryon. Although Rhaenys is happy to see him alive and well, she can't help but feel abandoned by him. When she and the girls needed him most, he was off partying, or not partying, but swashbuckling or whatever. But he realizes the error of his ways, and all he wants is just to retire, kick back, declare his house, watch his kids grow up. But it's not that simple. His grandchildren are betrothed, but the boys are not safe as long as Aegon's king. So Corlys announces his support for Rhaenyra, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I took the Stepstone, so we now also have the Narrow Sea. We garrisoned it and we run that shit, which is what they wanted to do back in the day, is set the garrisons. But we can see from the map that this is very strategic. With boats patrolling the waters, they can cut off Castle Rock, Old Town, trade, all that stuff, supplies, cut off the gullet here, which is this little stretch of ocean to stop everything going to King's Landing, crippling it significantly. So delaying siege to the Red Keep, which means blocking any enemy army from the west in order to amass such a force that they need the support of Winterfell, Eyrie, Storm's End. So Jace volunteers himself to go bring these messages on Dragonback, because dragons are faster and convincing. So Rhaenyra orders Jace to visit his mother's cousin, Lady Jane Eyre, at the Eyrie, and then to Cregan Stark in Winterfell. Cregan's, Rickon Stark pledged his fealty, and then Luke is going to travel to Storm's End to treat with Boros Baratheon. In the book, Rhaenyra purposely sent Luke here because she believed that it would be the easier mission. It's a shorter distance, and she thought Luke would be welcome with open arms. She makes the two of them swear that they come in as messengers, not warriors, and neither of them are to fight, right? No fighting, no fighting. So Rhaenyra sends her sons off on Dragon's Back, on Thermax, on episode 6, and Arax, and then Daemon ventures into the Dragon Mount singing in High Valyrian with Vermithor, which is a riderless dragon, but was King Jaehaerys' dragon, which is probably why he's singing, because Daemon would have known from his research that King Jaehaerys used to sing to his dragon, and this would sort of calm it down. And there's two ways we can interpret the scene, since it's not in the book. Daemon reaching for the dragon, letting it touch him, could mean that he's claiming a second dragon, which no rider has ever done. And you can see his hand reaching right there in the eye reflection. So this could have insane implications for season 2, taking the story in directions that even the book hasn't gone in. It could mean that Daemon is just calming it down so that his daughter, Rhaena, could claim it because she is dragonless. Although in the book, she never rides Vermithor. I don't know what you guys think about that, but Storm's End is definitely living up to its name with storms. Luke arrives, and there's that fucking dragon. The massive body of Aemon's dragon just sort of looming over the castle was super, like, I don't know. It was just dope, man. The way that they showed that, you felt it, like, oh shit, and like how big this thing is. Like, it's so much bigger, dominates the walls. And then we go inside and we can see Boros's daughters with another alongside Aemond, and she ain't happy about it. But Aemon has offered his hand in marriage to one of the 4 girls to strengthen the Hightower alliance with the Baratheons. Remember in episode 7 that Aemon said he'd do anything if it would strengthen the family. Rhaenyra seems to have underestimated Boros, thinking that some family ties and oaths would win them over, but she was wrong, because Boros scoffs at Rhaenyra, came with nothing to offer. You're not going to offer his hand in marriage, and he can't because he's already betrothed. But to make it extra creepy, Daemon takes off the eye patch, showing the sapphire in the socket, which is dope. That's from the book, reminding him from when Luke tore out his eye, had his eye torn out. But that, like I said, was one of the coolest things that I'd been waiting for since the show started, because I knew that that he wore the sapphire in his eye, and that was dope. But he didn't do it at first, so this was a great reveal for me and anybody that sort of reads the books and was waiting on this. And he threw the dagger at him and said, "Cut your eye out, give me your eye." But Boros is like, "Not under my roof." That's probably not a good idea. Escorts Luke out, but after Luke leaves, one of Boros's daughters says, was it one of your eyes that he took, or one of your balls? I'm so glad that you chose my sister. I want a husband with all his parts. And that sets him off. He chases him out. And in the book, all we know is that Luke and Aemon went into the sky, and a few days later, Luke and his dragon's body washed ashore. That's it. But in the show, we get a great scene filling in the blanks. And one of the surprising things is that neither of the boys wanted to kill the other. Luke wanted to escape, and Aemon wanted his eye, but the dragons kind of had minds of their own, because the one little dragon sort of threw fire at the big dragon, just kind of like, get off my back. And then the big dragon was like, fuck you thinking, man? And even Aemon couldn't stop him, so that was kind of sad. And he just chomps him. But he could have probably outmaneuvered him and outrun him in clear skies, because he was smaller. But remember, dragons can feel the emotions of their riders, or so it was implied in episode 3. So if Luke was scared, the dragon would be scared, and so that's why he attacked out of fear. And he's like, "No, don't do that. Follow me. Serve me." But it's picking up on the rider's fear and trying to defend him, because dragons can't be fully tamed. They could snap at any point, but they do have minds of their own. So, but if you put yourself in the dragon's shoes of the big dragon, you're gonna retaliate. and he does. He attacks him. Just one bite just rips him in half. And Aemon did try to stop him, and he's like, "Oh shit, what have I done?" He knows that he just started the war. He knows that this is going to have massive implications for the war. And Rhaenyra was considering options for peace, but when she's informed of her son's death, you see her face, and you know it's on. It's on. You know what I'm saying? It is on. Like the Dance of Dragon, season 2 is coming. It's fully underway. Uh, if you want some book spoilers, here we go. So this is from the book. In an October 11th blog post, George R. R. Martin said it would take 4 10-episode seasons to do the Dance of Dragons justice. But I've also heard that House of the Dragon may extend further and be turned into an anthology series after the Dance of Dragons story is complete. So that would be dope. We could get like Aegon the Conqueror. There's a lot of dope stories in Fire and Blood. And then we've got the son, Daeron, who we did not see, who's squiring in Old Town, will be making an appearance. And we'll see a lot more dragons, obviously. Jace is off to the Eyrie and Winterfell, where the Starks will come in and they'll play a bigger role, siding with Rhaenyra. But where the book heads next is a whole nother story. But Luke's death is not taken well by Daemon and Rhaenyra. And one of the infamous scenes in the whole book, Daemon orders assassins by the name of Blood and Cheese to infiltrate the castle by secret passage and kill one of Aegon's children as revenge. And, they let it choose like which child you want to love more. And she chooses one and they kill the other one. Helena goes mad. But we can expect some massive battles. Like Rhaenys patrolling the gullet. We'll have Rook's Rest, where she dies during the battle. And in that battle, Aegon suffers severe burns, and his dragon is rendered flightless. Christian Cole becomes Hand of the King, taking over for Otto. So we get an idea of how unhinged this whole Christian or how this Aegon combo and Christian combo is going to become. But House of the Dragon, man, let me know what you guys thought. I again, you could tell I'm a straight up fanatic. I love this shit. So hopefully y'all do too. We got Sada Poo in the building. What's good? Yep. Hold on, I can't hear you, but that might be my fault.
Wait.
Now I can
you
hear
me? Yeah, my mic.
It was your fault.
Yeah, it was my fault.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I sorry I didn't let you in right away, but I was kind of on a roll. And
yeah, no, I was like, he's on a roll, so I'm gonna just sit back and listen.
But yeah, man, Norn Rad, what is the secret of their prophecy though? What does the Song of Ice and Fire tell them is going to happen? Just that their family will rule. Well, Norn Rad, I assume that you know that you watched Game of Thrones and you know what the Song of Ice and Fire is. And that's just it. I mean, that's just it. That their family is the one that is prophesied to save the day, right? But in a weird way, and I don't know if it's exactly the dagger is the prophecy or what, if it's the target, because that dagger that they're reading the prophecy off of, that when they get put it by the fire, the words show up on it. That's the same dagger that is in Game of Thrones that kills the Night King in the end. So that dagger actually does end up killing the Night King, and that's the prophecy. And so they're supposed to pass that dagger from king to king to king until it gets down to the one that's supposed to kill the Night King. I don't know. I'm trying to think, because I knew at one point exactly how the prophecy lined up with the Targaryens and Jon Snow and Arya, who's the one that stabbed him in the end, and Brandon Stark, who almost got killed by the dagger early, and it all links up. And but I can't remember exactly how that went. But that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. It is based on the Game of Thrones, House of Ice and the Song of Ice and Fire, the Long Night, the Night King, the Army of the Dead, all of that happens in Game of Thrones, that's the prophecy that's going to happen. And the Targaryens, or the holder of that dagger, I'm not sure, is the one that's going to be responsible for killing the Night King. So that's what Viserys tells her that she's got to do. And so she's not really as concerned with the whole politics of all of this or being the queen as much as she is like taking care of that prophecy. Like, that's still, she's like, this is bigger than all of us. This is way bigger than all of us. This is bigger than thrones and politics and all of that. So we gotta, we gotta like make sure that this is protected, because she would have to pass that on to Aegon, because if they don't, that prophecy dies with her or with Viserys. So yeah, it's a lot at stake. It's a lot at stake. And that with that prophecy, but the showrunner, I'll tell you that in a second, but hold on, let me find this thing. Oh, so which dragon is Daemon singing to in House of the Dragon in episode 10 rather, was interesting. So as the literal name of the game or the show, it's no surprise like how much of Dragons House of the Dragon season 1 finale is dedicated to taking inventory of how many dragons each side has on its command, because that's a big, that's basically like how many tanks do you have in your army, but in a modern non-fantasy narrative, it would be the briefing the president would get in the war room about nuclear capability of each side, like who has the most nukes. But here it's just Daemon at the war table, reminding Rhaenyra of their power, the power that's at their disposal and the firepower they could flex if possible allies need convincing to join their side, in the brewing war. But ultimately, all it, means, it all means going to round up more dragons is, whoever rounds up more dragons is going to win. But after the two eldest Valerian boys take off to sort of try to garner some allies, the Black Queen follows Daemon into a cave with the torch, and he's singing this song in High Valyrian that is probably an invention from the show. I don't think that's in the book. But he cautiously kneels down and puts the torch on the ground, and then we hear this sort of guttural, almost alien growl coming from somewhere in front of him and out of the darkness, and then it's revealed who he is. His serenading is this massive dragon who lets loose this big fire burst in response, and sort of shows his dominance. But who that dragon is important. So earlier in the earlier War Council scene, right, Daemon was very intentional about taking note of all the dragons the Blacks command. And by his count, there are 13 dragons controlled or accessible by the Blacks, plus a bunch of eggs that he's incubating. But to the Greens, there's just 3 adults and then a baby. But Rhaenyra pushes back that none of their dragons have been to war, right? The 3 dragons the Greens have are all been, tested, battle tested. One of them's Vhagar, the biggest dragon of all, the one that just bites dragons in half with one bite. So, but he insists that it's a numbers game and that they've already won in that respect, and if they can find the riders to ride all their dragons, then they, there's no contest. After all, Rhaenyra's children have dragons, and, Daemon's daughter does too. So when they combine, with Daemon's, Rhaenyra's and Rhaenys dragons, they've got 7 adults. And then he drops the interesting tidbit about the neutral dragons with no riders that are out there. Sea Smoke and Driftmark, Vermithor, and Silverwing are there on Dragonmount. So there's those 3, the wild dragons, and the cannibal, the sheep stealer, right? So, but given the size of that that dragon that he's singing to, it's gotta be Vermithor, right? Who was King Jaehaerys's dragon, like I said earlier. So I think on Twitter, the House of the Dragon site page confirms that this is Vermithor. Silverwing, who Damon mentions is coiled up with Vermithor, is Jaehaerys's wife's dragon, and they're really, they love each other. The dragons are actually a couple, and he is described in the book as a bronze dragon with great tan-colored wings. Already large when Jaehaerys was accepted as his rider, but by the time we meet him here at the start of the Dance of Dragons, he's about 100 years old, and he's massive. But as this episode makes it clear, winning the war isn't just a matter of quantity. Because by the time Daemon makes it back from Dragonmont, Team Black is already down one dragon and one rider, thanks to Vhagar, the oldest and largest dragon in the world that just bites his opponent in half. And it's a tough break, but hopefully Vermithor and the other dragons will be able to fill out the fleet in season 2, or at least, if they hope to go toe to toe with the Greens, big old chunky gal. But unfortunately for season 2, we're probably gonna have to wait until 2024, guys, and that sucks.
But it takes time for shows like that. Things to be top notch.
Yeah, because it's like 10 little movies. It's 10 movies. It's not 10 episodes of a show. It's like 10 movies. That's how you got to look at it, because that's basically how they're made. The dragon effects were phenomenal. Yeah, I was really happy with the way that the dragons are looking after that first episode, because I think if you remember, Sada, at first I was
you were not a fan.
Real. But they're definitely up to par with Game of Thrones now, especially the Vermithor, the dragon that Daemon was singing to. That really looked like Game of Thrones. Like the dragon looked just as scary, just as detailed, just as real as a Game of Thrones dragon. So yeah, I'm super happy about that. And this means that, we're gonna have a big dragon war known as the Dance of Dragons next season. So it's gonna be hella dope. Yes.
Yeah, I can see why I gotta wait till 2024 for that.
Unfortunately, yep. because they didn't. I think at first, this was a big gamble. They didn't know if this show was going to be a complete flop, if people were going to be like, nope, not Game of Thrones, or if it was going to be, what it is. So they didn't immediately start making season 2 yet. So now that they are, I guess it takes that long. Hopefully with season 3, though, they'll be ready. They'll have it on deck. They'll just roll right into making season 3 and season 4. Because, like I said before, George R.R. Martin anticipates it taking 4 seasons of about 10 episodes a season to tell just this story, just the Dance of Dragons out of the Fire and Blood book, just this chapter. So, but then the rumor is that House of the Dragon will continue, but instead of this particular storyline, it'll probably just jump to a whole nother timeline when someone else was king and tell that story. Because in the book of Fire and Blood, it's all about the reign of the Targaryen dynasty. So it starts with Aegon the Conqueror and goes all the way up until the Mad King. And there's, however many, 20, 30 kings mixed in there or whatever it is. And each one has their story and shit. So hopefully this show will actually continue on after this story's over, and we'll get another 4 seasons. That would be hella cool. But there are other Game of Thrones shows on deck. There's a Jon Snow series. That's a continuation of Game of Thrones. So where like this was the prequel, this will be the sequel. So that's dope. And a new fan theory actually suggests that King Viserys' prophecy in House of the Dragon is already setting up the story for the upcoming Jon Snow series. And it actually makes a lot of sense. This could be how, George R. R. Martin fixes Game of Thrones' unsatisfying ending because he needs to. And this would be a great way. And as we're at the end of the first season of House of the Dragon, one thing has been made very clear. This is not the same show that Game of Thrones was in its later seasons. It goes beyond mere thematic and tonal differences. It is a matter of how one show handled George R. R. Martin's source material and the pressing significance of prophecy in his stories, foreshadowing, and the ever-present threat of apocalyptic event were pretty much the norm during Game of Thrones' early seasons. That was the vibe. And we all thought that the White Walkers and the Night King would be the ultimate villains in this particular story and would be this big, long, season-long battle, and the long night. And it was supposed to be this, and then, after all, the promise of a long winter, is something that almost everyone in the North feared and was talking about. Winter's coming, until it was dealt with within a few two episodes worth of poorly lit battle scenes, very dark battle scenes, all done in 1 or 2 episodes. So that's why people were unsatisfied with Game of Thrones, and rightly so. But in an unforeseen turn of events, there could still be hope for us diehard A Song of Ice and Fire fans, to get the ending that we deserve. House of the Dragon sort of holds a crucial prophecy, the prophecy at its core, and that could change the course of the franchise as we know it for the better. Because one thing that's been spinning in the minds of Game of Thrones fans since it was announced is the Jon Snow spinoff show currently in the works at HBO. So if there's one character that was wasted on the last season of the show, it would definitely be, Jon Snow. Since other characters like Jaime Lannister can't get redeemed in the same way Jon can, it seems like, the show could be the chance for the new showrunners to fix the mistakes that the last few seasons of Game of Thrones had.
Yeah, I think it's good that they have fresh eyes on all of these shows, because that's good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what this is.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't even know what's playing right now. What the fuck? Like, dude, I couldn't even...
for real.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Okay, please repeat that.
Oh, oh yeah. I was just saying it's good that they have different people a part of these shows and not like the same showrunners from Game of Thrones. It's good to have fresh eyes. It's always good to have fresh eyes, especially if a show is running for so long.
Yeah. It was. I think we were scared of it. We were worried, but in the end, you're right. It was better. It definitely helped to have someone new, because, and I don't know how, I don't get this, but showrunners were tired of Game of Thrones. The guys that were making Game of Thrones, they were like, they got tired of it, which I don't understand how you can get tired of something like that, especially, as successful and renowned as it was. But also, I think they believed that they were going to go write the next Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was, and then that kind of fell through. So
and then that fell through, so they really screwed themselves. But the Jon Snow show, because remember that time when Jon Snow died and he was brought back to life by R'hllor to fulfill the ancient prophecy that could very well be humanity's last hope, and how all that was for nothing once Arya was the one to deliver the killing blow to the Night King. That's why the prophecy of the prince that was promised is so flimsy in the Game of Thrones series. But I think, like, the way that they're going to handle it is going to solidify it with this show. The army of the dead seemed like the ultimate threat to life itself. Once they breached the wall, only a select few individuals were prophesized as the ones capable of stopping the end of humanity. And this is not just a Game of Thrones prophecy either. House of the Dragon establishes this same omen multiple times throughout the season. King Viserys tells Prince Rhaenyra of the prophecy, which is treated as an ancient Targaryen heritage that's supposed to be passed down. And in his words, Aegon the Conqueror foresaw the end of humanity, and the only way to stop it was for the whole of Westeros to unite against this threat, and for a Targaryen to be sitting on the throne when that happens. So they had to stay on the throne to I think that better answers your question earlier, Nornrad. Yeah, because it's sort of it's not that they were the one that had to strike the killing blow, but in his prophecy, in his vision, there was a Targaryen on the throne. So whatever else had to happen, Westeros uniting and all that, Targaryens had to make sure they stayed on the throne, or else the prophecy, or else they would lose or whatever. But here's where the things diverge between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. Because if you remember who was sitting on the Iron Throne when the Night King attacked Winterfell, it wasn't a Targaryen and it wasn't Jon Snow, but it should have been. One of the most shocking revelations in Game of Thrones happens when we learn that Jon Snow is, unbeknownst to him, Aegon Targaryen, the true heir to the Iron Throne and a descendant of King Viserys Targaryen himself. Aside from placing a huge bullseye on Jon's head, his heritage also meant that he, and not Robert Baratheon, and therefore Cersei, should have been the king of Westeros since the Mad King's death, and not Daenerys. In this sense, King Viserys' prophecy actually almost makes sense. One could argue that technically a Targaryen should have been on the Iron Throne at the moment when the Night King broke through the wall. But since Jon's heritage was kept a secret from everyone, there was no way for him to ever claim that birthright. And so Jon's royal status also aligns with the prince that was promised prophecy. He was, after all, a prince. And when he defeated death with the blessing of the Lord of Light, he proved that, he could have been the Azor Ahai, which was the prince that was promised, foretold by the Red Priestesses all through the show. But unfortunately, most of these claims are just speculation at this point. So, but King Viserys' prophecy seems to be tied to Jon Snow, whose real name is Aegon Targaryen. So technically it's tied to Aegon Targaryen. So it's a no-brainer. And his future, Game of Thrones ended on a very disappointing note for everyone's favorite member of the Night's Watch, Jon Snow. Going back to being no one is not what one would expect from someone with such a promising role in the future of Westeros. It was like he was this foretold, the chosen one and all this. It would be like if Luke Skywalker at the end just like, well, I'm not a Jedi no more, and I just go walk off into the dunes of Tatooine. It's like it was just so underwhelming, and the ending for Jon Snow was he just walks north of the wall with the wildlings to go live in the bush, like for real, like that's it. Like we were like, what? So there has to be a Jon Snow show. Just has to be. From a plot progression standpoint, the idea of following House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones with a Jon Snow spinoff makes perfect sense. There's a healthy amount of narrative potential in some elements of the Game of Thrones series finale, and it would be a shame to see the TV world of A Song of Ice and Fire go to waste like that. I mean, literally the biggest, most successful show of all time, having that botched ending is so bittersweet. I mean, it just hurts. So the prince that was promised has always been a pivotal character in many myths in Westeros, and Jon Snow seems more likely to be the one chosen by the prophecy, especially King Viserys' last words. And if that's true, then we might have more mysteries on the horizon for a show that's based on Jon after the events of Game of Thrones. For starters, it seems highly unlikely that an ancient threat could end humanity and life itself would be defeated just by, killing a single unit. And this particular strand of, the White Walkers might be gone, but who's to say that we saw the last of the army of the dead? And, he's north of the wall. There was all kinds of mysteries and shit gets frozen and thawed out and lies dormant and hibernates. But Game of Thrones was never a show that focused on delivering exactly what fans wanted, let alone what they expected. So, and that said, there's tons of room for improvement on that last season. And seeing the showrunners of House of the Dragon reintroduce King Viserys' prophecy just before a spinoff centered on the last remaining Targaryen, Jon Snow, arrives seems more than coincidental. I mean, it's just too perfect. Let me let Stu Dog in the building. Stu, what's good?
Sup, Stu?
What's up? What's up?
GRRM is live on YouTube. Do you guys want the link?
Who's
really?
That was G.
Yeah.
What is GR? What is that? What is G?
Yeah,
I just figured out George R. R. Martin.
Oh,
Yeah, George R. R. Martin.
Couldn't just spell that out, huh?
It's a long name. It's a long name.
Yeah, but yeah, Ren
wasting
Bits, throw us that link, Ren Bits. That's what's up. And this is Ren Bits from Twitch or
throw that,
or Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitch.
Looks like that's the Twitch symbol. So
that's the Twitch. Yeah. That's Ren Bits from Twitch.
Yeah, George R. R. Martin, we'll take it. We'll do what we got to do with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, if there's one thing that House of the Dragon has proved, however, is that despite the outrage caused by Game of Thrones' final season, there will always be a demand for stories set in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. That just warms my heart, because I know there's so much story to tell, so many shows. They've even got a show coming that is based on the Asia of this universe, because in the map and in the books there's a whole land that is way in the far east of east of Essos, and that's that'll be their version of China and Japan and all that. And so there's a whole show that's going to take place there that they're working on. So there's so much that can be done here. And the only thing that fans need is consistency in the plot and characters, and an ending that's worthy of the myths and legends that reside at the center of the fantastical and brutally realistic land of Westeros. And we really want to see King Viserys' prophecy fulfilled and Jon Snow on the Iron Throne defeating the White Walkers once and for all, because damn it, that's what we deserve. What we were promised. That's the prince that was promised to us. I mean,
what?
Sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean,
it'll be cool to see because they talked about it so much, man.
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about it so much in Game of Thrones, so it's just cool to see. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
like how Star Wars does shit.
You watch Battlestar Galactica, and Star Wars don't do it right. They just, as long as Kathleen Kennedy's in charge, we're not gonna.
Yeah, but Star Wars does cool shit. We get to see the prequels and all the shit that we heard about in the original trilogy. We get to see that play out in the prequels. That was dope. And Mandalorian, you know what I'm saying? Clone Wars,
Andor,
Rebels, Andor. We got a ton of good shit out of this Lucasfilm. So I won't say, as long as Dave Filoni's involved, running it, we got some good shit. And Dave Filoni will be involved from here on out for shit like Ahsoka and all those dope shows.
I hope so, man. I hope so. We really need that, man. I mean, right now, Star Wars fans are, and me being one of them, are at a disadvantage because Disney promised us, when we got Disney Plus, we were gonna get content, that was out of this world, like fresh content, things that we don't normally get. And it only makes sense because Disney only has but so much content. They got their old movies, and they did a great job back then. But what I don't
Right.
understand is how could you come out with all that content that's classic, timeless, and all that back then? But then you get to now, and it's crickets. You drop the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. We should have just as much, and they got a lot more freedom now to do what they want and to bring the content to you, in a more major way, and bring it home. Before we had to go to
Right.
the Herbie the Love Bug, Benji, uh, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins. We had to go to theaters to see all that. And now
Hell yeah.
it's like you can bring it straight home, and we paying for it. And this is what you give us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that, man. Marvel movies come out before they go to DVD. They should go straight to Disney Channel. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
we paying for that.
Yeah.
Because remember they tried the thing where they wanted you to pay extra for
Oh yeah, I remember
the
that.
movie.
Nobody's doing that. An
People
extra
like,
$30 some or whatever on top
Yeah.
of what you're paying. Like,
Right. The Blu-ray, right. I can much money. So I might as well buy that, watch as much as I want. And don't have to pay a monthly fee. It didn't make sense.
yeah, that was ridiculous. I remember that. Ooh.
So did you watch House of the Dragon though, Stu? Did you get to watch it? I know you were out somewhere, out of town or whatever.
No, I didn't get to watch it. Actually, I did. I watched it on the plane. And it was good. It was really, really good.
You did watch it? Okay.
Yeah, I checked it out on the plane. It was good, man. It's you know what, man? It's for something that doesn't have like, how can I explain it, man? Like, it's just good. Like, it's just good drama. Like, for something that's not like, I need like swords buckling and heads getting chopped off. I need all that. I need some action. But for something that's just like action dialogue, like it's good. Like, I can't. Like, you get into it. Like, you can get into that. You can sit down and actually get into that, man. And I think that's what I'm enjoying about it the most.
We'll have a lot of I mean, this whole season was setting up for the war. Next season 2 is going to be war. So you're going to get all the sword fights and dragon fights and all that. And there's going to be a lot of dragon fights, which we got to see in this episode. A really quick,
yes,
but really cool dragon fight that was really like, and a lot of people want to know why he did that, and again,
I want to know why.
For those who are familiar with Fire and Blood, the novel by George Martin that this show is based on, they've been building up for this, to this final moment. In the final act of The Black Queen, this episode, we see Rhaenyra sending her sons right as messengers to try and curry favor, with the nobles who've not yet declared for Aegon. And with Rhaenys patrolling the Narrow Sea on her dragon Melees, Rhaenyra sends Jace to the Eyrie and to see Rhaenyra's mother's cousin, Lady Jane Eyre, and then further up north to Winterfell to treat with Lord Cregan Stark for the support of the North. She sends Luke to Storm's End to treat with Lord Boros Baratheon for support, her youngest son. And as the Lords of the Seven Kingdom, they all swore oaths to Rhaenyra back in episode 1, which is really 20 years ago. Technically, every lord that bent the knee to Aegon in this show, and who bent the knee 20 years ago to Rhaenyra are oath breakers and traitors. However, given that 2 decades have passed, there's a technical loophole in that many of the current lords were merely heirs to their fathers at the time. So they weren't even the guys that swore the oaths. It was their fathers. They're supposed to still keep those oaths, though. Generations down the line, you have to keep the oath of your ancestor. But still, during the episode, they lean on their family ties and on houses that honor oaths, like the Starks. They keep their oaths for generations. But what they did not predict is that the Greens would send Aemond to Storm's End as at the same time, leaving Lucerys to face the same uncle he maimed years ago, because he's the one that took his eye. The kid, the young boy, is the one. Luke is the one that took his eye. And what happens between Luke and Aemon is framed more as a tragedy in House of the Dragon, when Luke tries to escape from Aemon's pursuit. His dragon Arax, feeling threatened and also feeling the vibe of fear from his rider, breathed fire on Vagar's face, and Aemon ends up at the mercy of his dragon. Just at this point, he's a tiny speck on the back of the biggest, oldest dragon in existence, and the dragon wants to kill something. He can't do anything about it, and the dragon kills Arax and Luke in a single bite. Just, but when Luke arrives at Storm's End, the mood's already incredibly dour, and the shadow of Vagar, again, the largest dragon in the world, is sort of looming in the back over the castle walls, just like in the shadows, as he sort of delivers his mother's message to Lord Boros Baratheon. But before this, Rhaenyra had cautioned her son against violence. She says, made him swear on the Bible, their Bible of the Faith of the Seven, that you guys are going as messengers and not as warriors. You must take part in no fighting. Swear to me. What I'm saying, and so they do. But Rhaenyra then tries to instill confidence in Luke by telling him that he has Baratheon blood in his veins through Rhaenys, which technically is not true because he's not, he's a bastard. But and then that Lord Boros will welcome, hosting a prince of the realm. But despite these reassurances, the visit to Storm's End couldn't have gone worse. For everyone, it basically is the catalyst for the war in a way. And not only is Aemon there first, but he has apparently offered to betroth himself to one of Boros Baratheon's daughters. Obviously, Luke is then, is already betrothed to his cousin Rhaena Targaryen, and he can't make Lord Boros the same offer. To make matters worse, Lord Boros is unamused by Rhaenyra's message to him, asking him to remember to honor his father's oath. He's kind of takes that as, to offense. But tempers rise, you know what I mean? And Aemon brings back up the loss of his eye. He's like, give me your eye. You know what I'm saying? Because Luke's like, I'm not going to fight you. He's like, cool, we ain't got to fight. Just give me your eye. And he tosses him a dagger. He takes his patch off and shows that he's got this blue sapphire, in the place of his eye, which is a cool ass moment. And from the books, but Boros, he stops it. Not under my roof kind of thing. Take it outside kind of deal. He tells Luke to go ahead and leave, and then he goes. And then we don't see this, but from the book, we know that one of Boros's daughter kind of, goads Aemon by saying, did he take one of your balls too, or just your eye? And then so that makes him, his ego, and then he runs after him. But I think the question is like, why did the dragons disobey their riders? Taken to the skies, it's a clear mismatch between Arax and Vagar. I mean, it's like an elephant and a mouse. I mean, it's just no comparison. And as Aemon is pursuing his nephew, it's unclear at this point if he was trying to kill him or not. Like at this point, we don't know at first, but you kind of can tell that the way the dragon's snapping at him, that he's just trying to scare him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe take his eye, but he doesn't want to kill him. But why did the dragons disobey the riders? So technically the bond between rider and dragon is held together by more than just like your dog or your cat, like the bond that you would have with a house pet. It's supposed to be like a magical bond. So why does Arax, who hatched for Luke as a boy, disobey him? And why wouldn't Vagar listen to Aemon? And it's not an easy question to answer, though, because for Luke, it's likely that Arax felt his fear because they sort of have this connection, and they connect not telepathically, but emotionally. so he can like feel his fear, and so it probably made him scared, and he decided that I can't outrun this big thing, so the best way to protect my rider is to fight back. And even with Vagar, being far out, much bigger, unfair basically. But and then for Aemon, the answer is a lot harder to answer, because it is it because Vagar has only had Aemon as his rider for some like 5 or 6 years at this point? Are they just not? Because she was once mounted by Visenya, and then by Balon Targaryen, which is Daemon and Viserys' father, and then by Laena. So for a dragon who's been around since the fucking conquest, right? Since Aegon first conquered Westeros, could she just have dementia? Like maybe she's just a little senile, getting a little old up in her years, because dragons are very intelligent, right? In this world, dragons are considered to be, in some cases, more intelligent than man in some ways. So it stands to reason that, if threatened, Vagar is going to fight back, even if it's against the orders of his rider. He still has a mind of his own. They're still, sentient beings. But none of this is explained. This is all just my sort of theorizing. But one thing is clear, though. Unlike the bond between Rhaenyra and Syrax earlier in the episode, these boys do not have this kind of bond or this kind of hold on their dragons. It's kind of like two kids on motorcycles that really don't have control of the bikes yet, and they're fucking around. They probably shouldn't be. Is a way to kind of explain that. But on paper, this is the moment that the war truly starts. This is the catalyst. This is the thing that makes Rhaenyra decide to go to war. Because remember, she tells Hightower, "I'll tell you tomorrow if I'm going to go to war or if I'm going to bend the knee," because she hasn't decided. She's pretty sure she's going to go to war, but the fact that she still has love for the queen, her best friend, and doesn't want to kill her or her father, she has to think about it still. But once she gets the news that they killed her son, all bets are off. There's no more talking. It just is what it is, and it's just the final straw. But in Fire and Blood, in the book, Maester Gildain wrote that with Luke's death, the war of ravens and envoys and marriage pacts came to an end, and the war of fire and blood began in earnest. Because up until that point, it was just fighting to get a raven. A raven is how they deliver messages in this universe. So it was, at first, it's just a war of people trying to get messages to each other and try to see who can get the most people on their side first, and sending and oaths and marriage pacts and generations old contracts. But once that happens, once Aemon's dragon kills Luke, that's what really sets the war off. After this, Aemon is regarded by many as a kinslayer for killing his nephew. But we don't know if they're going to follow along with that title. Given that it seems like Luke's death is an accident, we can tell at the end that when Vagar chomps down on him, this is not what Aemon had planned. Like, he's like shocked. He's like, "Oh fuck! Like, what did I just do?" Like, he knows right then the implications, which he shouldn't have been fucking around, to be honest. So he's still in trouble. But in Fire and Blood, the events are depicted in a far more sinister way. One account says that Aemon killed Luke of his own volition, while another one says that not only does that, but he carves out Luke's eyes and delivers one of them to Lord Boros's daughter, who's the one that called him weak. So still, but no matter what, a son is dead, and this begins the war of kinslaying that basically will leave everyone either permanently damaged and traumatized or dead. Like everyone involved. So nobody gets out of this thing happily. Yeah, this is the war that we've been waiting on, man, and here it is. Why does my thing keep on? Stu Dog.
What's up?
What was that thing you wanted to talk about?
Oh, a lot. There's a lot we gotta talk about.
It's been a very busy weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Marvel stuff, comic book
Marvel
stuff.
Comic
Whole
books.
lot.
Yeah, whole
Did
lot.
you end up
Sent you
seeing
all the
Black
info.
Adam?
I saw Black Adam, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Black Adam.
Yeah.
Did you end up seeing it, Stu Dog?
No, I didn't have time to see it. I was busy being a
Mm.
fan, so I didn't have time to see it. But but they're saying now that that they think it's a scandal going on because they're saying that the critics
With Black
are
Adam?
tanking the film. Yeah, but they're saying that
Yeah.
the fans are loving it. Like everybody's loving it except for the
Yeah.
critics.
Critics are full of shit, bro. They're full of shit.
I think the movie's not terrible, so I feel like if they're giving it like 1 star, like just like an F, I don't really understand that. I don't understand that.
I can understand some criticisms because there was some there's a corniness to it. It's a little bit hokey. I mean, it's a superhero movie though, so that's to be expected in my opinion. The VFX were great. The fight scenes were phenomenal. The only even The Rock didn't The Rock it up too much, which I was afraid of. There was none of this. He didn't do any of this. He wasn't. He definitely played the role. The only I would have liked to have seen him go even more villainous, but I was gonna say 8 out of 10 Norin Rad, so we're kind of.
I'm about a point lower. I'm a point lower. So yeah, right. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. I'm at a 6.5. Yeah. So yeah.
In fact, I think it was good. Like I really liked it. Like I liked it a lot. Like I said, I'm giving it 8 because, and I'll watch it again. Like it was good to me, and I can't wait to see the sequel. But you do have to suspend some of your, like you do have to accept some corny superhero jokes and silly and like cliche stuff, I guess is what I mean by like corny, like super cliche superhero tropes, but that doesn't bother me, but yeah, it's not a very deep story.
That's what I said. I was like, it's very reminiscent of a Fast and Furious film. You're going to get a lot of action, but you're not going to have very well developed characters, and your story is going to be a bit weak. And if you are good with that, you're going to love this film. And I think if you want a little more, you might be just a tiny bit disappointed, and that's kind of where I am with it. But I mean, it gives you what you want in terms of entertainment. So a lot of people have just been like really loving it, and it's like I get it.
Yeah, if you're looking to see Black Adam be powerful and do powerful stuff and kick ass and Hawkman looking dope and that you get all that. But yeah, as far as like story, and some people actually complained that there was too many info drops. I felt it could have been more lore. I wanted to learn more and know more about certain characters. Like Hawkman.
I kind of agree and disagree. Like I think the way that they did it could have been way better because it really felt like they were just throwing out exposition and it wasn't in a creative way to where you don't even notice that that's happening. You very much notice from the second the film opens, and it takes me out, especially when the JSA comes in and stuff like that. I just think it could have been done better, but I would have loved to learn more about Kahndaq. I thought that was like my favorite part of the film. Getting to learn about that and the mythology and everything.
Yeah, and I loved Hawkman, but I wasn't crazy about like his lines and like the way he delivered them and stuff like that, but the character looked dope. And so
Hawkman is kind of like Hawkman's kind of like Drax. The Thanagarians. They're kind of like Drax a little bit, but less. They're a little less little, but they take everything kind of literally.
I know what
But
you
they're like a
mean.
warrior. Yeah, they're like a warrior
very
race.
Oh yeah,
Like,
he's
very-
definitely like that in this movie.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very
they're a straight
literal.
warrior race. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one
Yeah.
giving all the most of the corny stuff I'm talking about. Most of the cliche corny lines are coming from Hawkman and stuff like that. That's for sure. He's definitely doing that. But you know, and Pierce Brosnan, like, I will say that I expected a hell of a lot more depth out of this movie, but I was not
It's the first movie. It's the first movie.
Yeah, but
everyone.
even then,
Gotta-
like,
gotta
you
let
have
it-
the
gotta let
JSA
it-
coming in. Like, you have 4 new characters coming in. I feel like
I
we
wanted
gotta
more
get
Dr.
something,
Fate.
you know?
Yeah, I needed more Dr. Fate, more
I figured
JSA
people would want
background.
more Dr. Fate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
because Dr.
I just
Fate's a
needed
cool
more
character.
about him. I needed more about him.
What'd you
'Cause
say?
I needed more like about Dr. Fate.
That's
And
what I
was-
mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know more about them. You know, the JSA. That's the only thing I missed. Like, what's one of the things? But yeah, and you know, so is the Snyderverse officially being restored now?
Oh boy.
So,
Yeah,
I
'cause
feel like this should just
They
be
better
their
do
clean
something.
slate to just have a clean slate. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Just have
Well,
a clean slate with this.
Henry Cavill's Superman is back. Obviously, that's dope. That was cool to see him in the whatchamacallit, which could mean that the Snyderverse is being restored after Black Adam. I agree, though, that I'd
Bro,
like to see
everybody loves.
something new.
I want something new. I
Yeah,
love
everybody loves Superman. Everybody loves Henry
man.
Cavill as Superman, and I mean everybody except for Hollywood or Warner Brothers, and nobody can understand that. Like
Warner Brothers.
like he had the approval of the people. Like
Mhm.
I don't get it. Like
Mhm.
when they casted Christopher Reeves as Superman, if he wouldn't have got into that accident with the horse, he would have still been Superman for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just that. You know, they picked a good Superman. Even when they picked the what's the other guy that played in
Brandon
Legends
Routh.
of Tomorrow? Yeah, he was a good Superman
Yeah.
as well. And it's like we can't have a different Superman every time. It just can't be. You know, you pick a guy, you stick with him, and let's just keep him moving.
I'm glad he's
But
back.
I
He
can
looked
see-
so great in that
Yeah,
scene.
he's awesome. Yeah,
And he was vibrant, colorful, which is something I've been missing. Snyder likes to, just suck all the color out. So he was back, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I love how they played the 1970s theme song, like in the background, just a little bit. It was there, like that was just dope.
That's
like,
iconic.
That.
That's iconic, man. Yeah, that's iconic.
Yeah, bro.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
He
what
had the
Superman
curly.
movie you
He had the
come up with.
curly. He had the hair
Yeah.
curl and all.
Yes.
That shit, bro.
Oh, that joint was great. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what Superman movie you ever come out with. None ever beat that first Superman movie soundtrack. I'm sorry.
That
You just
soundtrack
can't.
is phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Star Wars. It's a lot
It
like
is.
Star Wars.
Yes, you just can't
But
beat
yeah,
it. You just can't beat what they did.
Yeah. And this movie's connected, to the main DCEU through cameos from Amanda Waller and Peacemaker's Amelia Harcourt, and which,
What the hell is Amanda Waller's role? She's very out of character. I don't understand it.
she's supposed to
I
be
just
like
don't like
Amanda. The
Way they portray it.
Samuel Jackson of the DC.
I don't like that. She's not like that. I
know.
don't. It's so weird.
Yes, she is. Oh, yes, she is. Amanda Waller knows everything, but she's not like Nick Fury. She's different. She has her own agenda.
In this
like
movie,
Nick Fury,
he is.
yeah, see, Nick Fury is like the good guy, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to complete the mission. Amanda Waller has her own mission, her own
Waller's
thing.
more like the Seinfeld lady from the MCU. What's her name again? Damn. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but more devious, but just a lot more
the lady
devious.
from Seinfeld. What's her name?
I know you're
Elaine.
talking about.
Yeah,
I don't
Elaine.
know. I don't remember her character's name.
Yeah,
But
and Black
take that,
Widow, but
multiply it
somebody in
by
the chat
3.
knows them.
Yeah, but she's a lot more devious than her. A lot more devious. Like Amanda
Mm,
Waller. Amanda Waller will kill you. She'll blow your head off. It's a lot she'll do. She ain't no joke. Um, and she figured out who Batman was. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But Batman, they kind of got a stalemate with that. Because Batman's like, yeah, you might know who I am, but I know some stuff about you too that you don't want to get out. But
Right.
what Batman didn't anticipate was that she did that on purpose to make sure that he would never put out there the stuff that she does. So
yeah.
he stays out of her way, she stays out of his way, and that's just how they get down. But Amanda Waller
Mhm.
is definitely the bad of the bad. I mean,
Yeah. I
Right.
don't want
worse
to
to Lex
spoil it.
Luthor.
Like
Yeah.
the way that she operates in that movie is so weird and out of character. I don't know what they're gonna do going forward because it's very bizarre for me. I'm like, I don't get it.
Hmm.
She has certain authority. It's like, okay.
Damn. I'm just looking at the new Legion of Monsters on Marvel Unlimited. So if you guys read digital comics on Marvel's Unlimited site, they Halloween sort of deal through October 31st. They're doing Marvel insiders can earn 1,000 insider points by reading a select handful of comics featuring the Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone, Ghost Riders, Blade, Morbius, and more. And the issues are Werewolf by Night #1 from 1972. They got Werewolf by Night #1 from 2020, Legion of Monsters #1 from 2011, which is that's the Elsa Bloodstone one I know for a fact. Doctor Strange, Death of Doctor Strange, Bloodstone #1, which is obviously sort of gets to know Elsa Bloodstone and the family Bloodstone. She's a monster hunter and stuff. And then Ghost Rider #28, which is the first chapter from Rise of the Midnight Suns event. That's where we get the Midnight Suns. Continue with the complete event, the Midnight Suns. And that's like with Ghost Rider and Danny Ketch. And then you got Morbius and Blade and the Night Stalkers and the Darkhold Redeemers fighting Lilith. That shit is ill, man. I'm so glad that Werewolf by Night that they're doing all these bringing the monster shit in, man, because this is gonna lead to
Oh, they
Blade and
have
all
to.
that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah, they
about
have to.
time.
Yeah, because it's
there's a
got to
lot of
lead to.
vampires
And plus, you got to remember, there's a lot of vampires in the
Yeah,
Marvel universe, and Dracula
yeah.
is like he's like a protagonist in the Marvel universe. You can't have a Marvel universe without having monsters and Dracula. It's
Hmm.
crazy. It seems like it's crazy, but it's true. They
Yeah.
literally, they literally just about everybody's fought Dracula. Wolverine was just kidnapped by vampires, and they were using his regenerative ability
I was just
to
reading
get
that
the
the other
blood.
day. I was reading that day before
Yeah,
yesterday. That whole little Wolverine story where he fights Dracula and Omega Red and all the vampires. They're trying to get Wolverine because they just want to hang him upside down because he regenerates and just have him like as an endless supply of blood.
the blood, right? Yeah.
So, and then with Bloodline, which is the daughter of Blade, set to make her mark in Crypt of Shadows #1 this year, and then her upcoming solo series Bloodline, Daughter of Blade, that comes out next year. And then you've got let's see, you've got obviously Blade, who debuted in Tomb of Dracula in 1972. Tomb of Dracula #10 is where we first saw Blade. And Bloodline, his daughter, this could be this could be a whole dope series because earlier this year, Bloodline and Saffron Calder debuted in the Free Comic Book Day Avengers X-Men that came out in 2022. Free Comic Book Day, the Avengers X-Men book. And that story revealed Bloodline's civilian name is Brielle, and that she lives a normal life with her mother. But in her first adventure, Brielle protects her friend Jaden from Eternal, which is another vampire named Eternal, who lost a video game tournament or something, and then she she fights him and shit. Crypt of the Shadows #1 is a new bloodline story that I think takes place right after that, and then that goes right into Bloodline Daughter of Blade that'll start next year. And then we got Dracula. Dracula, I know Tomb of Dracula is obvious, but he's done after the War of the Vampires started in the Avengers back in 2018, he united a lot of the world's strongest vampires as the leader of a vampire nation. So now there's this whole vampire nation, and he's gained new powers thanks to Wolverine's blood. Because when they capture, they do capture Wolverine, and they do drain his blood for a little while before he gets out. And that blood just gave Dracula new fucking powers. And Victor Strange. What else? We got Victor Strange. Sometime after Doctor Strange became the Sorcerer Supreme, his brother Victor was killed in a car accident, and he wasn't able to save his brother, and then he turned his brother Victor into a vampire with the vampiric curse spell. So, and then after debuting in Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme #10, Victor falls under the thrall of the witch Mary Laveau, adopted the Baron blood identity, and struggled to contain his bloodlust before impaling himself with a wooden stake. This is good shit. We can't deny
it. You can't deny.
As recently revealed in Strange Tales, Victor Strange Infinity comic, Victor Strange is currently watching the Marvel Universe from a mirror world and is set to make his next appearance in that Crypt of Shadows #1, which is a story by Al Ewing, and that's one of my favorite authors, so definitely on deck for that. And X-Men Blue #23 has this fucking sick ass picture of I think it's Storm, like remember 1980s Mohawk Storm, but as a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
As a vampire. Let me see if I can show y'all these covers.
It sounds to me like they trying to get like DC versus vampires, which was wildly popular this year. Which was wild.
Yeah,
it was a good story, man. You know what? When you read DC versus vampires, it pisses you off, but it pleases you at the same time. Because it's just the way the whole thing went down. Like it was really, really good, but it makes you mad. But also at the same time, it's satisfying. Like I love that about it, and it kept me coming back, and I kept buying it every month, and I kept reading it, and I was like, man, and I would get mad one month, the next month I'd be like, all right, then another month I'd be mad, then another month I'd be like, all right. Then I was mad for a couple of months, and I'm like, man, come on. Please, because a lot of it was good. DC versus Vampires was really, really good.
Oh yeah. Well, this Storm. This is X-Men Blue rather. #23. Storm is named Bloodstorm.
Ooh.
Such a dope. Yes, it's such a dope story. Bloodstorm is I think it comes in back in Uncanny X-Men in 1963, like Uncanny X-Men #159, Storm was turned into a vampire, but she rejected the thrall of Dracula and returned to normal. However, some variants of Aurora Monroe, in the multiverse weren't so lucky, and in the alternate reality of Mutant X back in 1998, Aurora becomes Bloodstorm, one of her, chaotic world's mutant heroes. And another Bloodstorm debuted in X-Men Blue, #10 by Cullen Bunn, which is a fucking hell of a book. After killing her world's Professor X and Beast, this Bloodstorm was stranded in the Marvel Universe, where she, joined a time displaced team of the original teenage X-Men, and she briefly dated the young Cyclops, and but then she was killed by the time traveling Ahab in the extermination event in 2018. But that was a dope. And then you got Morbius, of course, obviously, which, you know, I feel bad because Morbius is a dope character and there's hella cool shit to do, but the movie just sucked so bad that people don't care about Morbius anymore. Like,
that movie had no business.
You know what? You gotta look at it like this. Somebody wanted to make a vampire movie and they wanted it to sell. So what they did was they took the Morbius character, stuck him on top of that story, and that's how we got the Morbius movie. Because to be honest with you, when you really break it, it has nothing to do with Morbius. Period. Point blank. In a discussion. Like it's just it's like somebody wrote a really good vampire story, but they just stuck Morbius in it. It would have been better off if you just gave us just like two random vampires fighting each other and just kept it at that. We'd have been good with that.
Yeah, then they tried to like stitch together, with it being a part of the MCU, but not really. It's like, okay, just stop. This film being delayed for like 2 years should have been a big sign to just not even release it. Like it just didn't need to be made.
It was so bad that I almost wasn't able to enjoy House of the Dragon because Matt Smith is the star.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He just could not catch a break.
Are you serious, bro? Like, yo, are you serious, bro? He's like,
I was like, man, I don't like that dude.
Yeah, because he was and then and the characters. Like this is the crazy part about Morbius. The characters that were in Morbius are such strong Marvel characters with strong backgrounds. Like you could have did a proper Morbius movie with who you put in the movie. Like anybody that reads Marvel and knows anything about Morbius knows that. Though that could have been a dope movie.
Oh, fuck yeah, bro. I was so excited. I was like, yes, Morbius is going to be so dope. It's going to be the shit. Boy, was I wrong. Because it could have been and it should have been. But PG-13 and vampires do not mix.
Nope.
They do not max and they do not mox.
Not at all. And they never will.
And you're right. Yeah, like, if it was just like a dark vampire movie, it probably would have been great because the special effects were great. It looked really cool, but it was trying to be a superhero movie and it wasn't.
Yeah, that was the other thing. It's like they wanted Morbius to be a superhero almost. And it's like, okay, so when he eventually runs into Spider-Man, how is that going to work? Like, here we go again. You keep making these movies without Spider-Man. Yep. And you want to do a Sinister Six. And
they don't work.
It doesn't work. Like, what are you doing?
And they don't work. It doesn't work without Spidey. Yeah, because like when you break down Spidey and his rogues gallery, especially Morbius was somebody he was trying to save. Like he literally was trying to save Morbius.
Saw that, Norrin.
And and it was like that was the conflict because like Morbius is kind of like he's kind of like a good guy, but he's not. He is. He kind of walk. Yeah. He's kind of more of on the good side, but he's not like Venom. Like Venom, when they made Venom like Lethal Protector and all that, his popularity just skyrocketed. But he was already a hugely popular character. Like Venom was really popular when he came out. Like he was a character that came out the grip, and people was like, "Yo," like he didn't grow in popularity. People loved him. They're like, "Oh, we love Venom." Like you had people that was like, "Yo," like Venom was the best thing since Spider-Man, and Marvel capitalized on that and made him. I have the very first issue of Venom Lethal Protector. You know, the series. And it's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic. You can't. You can't front on it.
Nah. And I'm trying to find this thing Norrin Rad's talking about.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. They were saying Silver Surfer, they might do something for him. Which I don't even. How is that gonna work? I mean, I don't know.
Well, no, it's weird because it was either last night or the night before. I think it might have even been last night. I was literally reading Silver Surfer #1 thinking, man, They needed like what the fuck? Why haven't we done like no real? They haven't really given him no play. Like he needs his own movie. Like he's not just a Fantastic Four side guy. He's got his own whole everything, man. And so yeah, that would be wicked. I think like give us Galactus with the Silver Surfer movie. You know what I'm saying? And let that be a thing. And let's see Norrin Rad, his planet and the the deal he's got to make with Galactus to save his planet. And then, let's see him flying through the cosmos doing trippy shit, like he does flying through nebulas and shit. Like that could be
I don't want to see it, Reno. I don't want to see it. It never happened. No, and not for the reasons why you think. Not for the reasons why you think. I don't want to see it because they're gonna mess it up. It's going to get messed up. It's not going to be right. Somebody from Hollywood is going to throw their 2 cents in it.
Say that about everything. I can't say that about everything.
Because you got to stick. Because some stuff they stuck to the source material and it was good. Like let's keep it a buck. It had a little bit of Hollywood in it, but it was still good. But something like the Silver Surfer, bruh, because it's you know what it is. Hollywood likes emotion. They love. That's why Spider-Man always takes his mask off.
But dog, because they want you. Is one of the most heartfelt, dramatic stories in Marvel.
I know, and they're going to put too much heartfelt, dramatic Hollywood into it, and not enough of the story. Like the story is perfect the way it is. Like you don't need to change it. You don't need to act.
The story. I'm talking about if they do it right. If they do a story
right.
No,
if they do it right.
Well, I was reading, like I said, Reno. I was reading stuff.
No, Reno, they're going to add a love interest, Reno. They're going to add a love interest, Reno.
His wife.
Silver Surfer's going to have a girlfriend. They're going to put a girlfriend in there. No, but it's going to be.
That's what he's fighting
take up
for.
more.
That's what he did. That's why he's Silver Surfer.
But with Hollywood, they put more emphasis on it than what it should be. What made the Marvel story so great?
Do it well and give us a special. Then you would want to see it.
Yeah, I would.
If they did it right,
I want to see it. I'm gonna keep it a buck right here. I'm gonna keep it a buck on this channel right here. Anything they bring out Marvel wise, I'm gonna watch it.
I'm gonna
see it. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not gonna be one of them dudes that be like when Thor: Love and Thunder camp, he was like, man, I ain't gonna go see it. I don't know. We gotta see. Look, when it came out, I watched it. I was front and center. I ain't go to the movies, but when it came home, front and center, I thoroughly enjoyed it on my couch. But had I went to the movies, I'd have been a little disappointed. But I watch it.
I still haven't finished Eternals or Love and Thunder.
I have still and will not be seeing Love and Thunder, but I did finish Eternals. That was
Sada, it was good. Sada, if you're watching it at home on your couch, it's good.
No.
You had to go to the
no, Stu. I tried to watch it on my couch at home and I couldn't get through it.
You couldn't get through it?
Couldn't get through it. As soon as I
got through it.
I'm gonna try it again now that you say.
I'm just not invested in Thor, so I don't even have an incentive to even check it out. I'm like, it's like Ant-Man. Like I'm not invested in him. So
speaking of Ant-Man,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, wait a minute. We talking about all this other trash.
Yeah.
Can we show the trailer? Can we show the trailer or something? Because that's like everybody's on the trailer right now, and that's what we need to be on this channel. We need to be all about Ant-Man and Quantumania right now. Because that's what the internet is all about. The digital streets is all about. Let's bust it.
Here we go. Let's
bust it out. Make it happen. Make it work.
Bringing it in. Well, now we might. The way I'm gonna do it so that I don't get shitted on by BoobTube is I'm gonna play it like side screen, kind of the way I did the game of the House of Dragons video. So the volume might be a little low for the viewers at home, but that's going to help us not get blocked.
Watch it after.
So why do we get blocked? That's what I don't understand. Why do we get blocked when people? It's all over everybody's
YouTube
channel.
Can be preferential.
I don't get it. Everybody has it on their channel. I don't think Marvel cares.
I don't know. I think that they're lenient. Well, no, but
listen. You know what, Reno? Can we show it? Can we do like everybody else do? Can we show it and then talk over it?
We can show it. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do right now. Yeah. That's what we're doing right now. That way we can do it. But if I just show it the way I was showing it, then that it's not that no one else can do it. It's just that you have to be you have to have permission. So
You serious?
it's like
Well,
doing a
Who
review.
we gotta talk to? Who we
You
gotta
gotta
talk to?
you gotta apply, you gotta be a review channel, and all you gotta do is like there's channels you put your application in with these review companies and shit, and you try to get in there. So it's something that we will eventually do, but for now, let's just talk about it as we look at it.
I'm gonna put our paperwork in, man. We gonna get our paperwork. I'm putting
All
our
right.
paperwork in, bro. I'm keeping it a buck.
How are you, an Avenger? That doesn't
I'm
make
not
sense.
seeing any video.
We
You
ain't
don't
got
see
nothing.
It's
Nothing.
black.
Not a damn thing. This is why we need to just do it the regular way and say, forget you too.
I got it. Let's see. Where are you at? There we go. Let's see. There we go.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, now. Question is, will you guys be able to hear it? All right.
Yes.
There we go.
I myself a lot of questions. Scott, you're an ex-con. How are you, an Avenger?
I love
That
it.
doesn't make sense.
That's funny.
But everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing. Thank you, Spider-Man.
How? Spider-Man is so much
Spider-Man.
shorter than him.
Yeah.
Like a satellite.
Well, this is dope.
Space, but
So they go into the quantum realm. Look,
you're sending a signal down to the quantum realm.
she's like,
Turn it off.
turn it off.
Now.
Uh-oh.
A mess.
They're getting sucked in.
Oh, man. Goodbye. Come into the light, Caroline. Come into the light.
Carolyn.
Yeah, the girl right there, that's his daughter. That's Scott
Yeah,
Lang's
that's
daughter.
Cassie.
Remember she grew up. They recasted her because she grew up after the blip.
That was so weird.
He missed what, 5 years of her life? Comes back. She's a young.
But this
hottie.
looks like some Guardians of the Galaxy shit, man. This is great.
Yeah, you know, they gotta make every film like Guardians in some way and
Mhm.
hope that it works.
Yep. This is more Guardians. But I love the cosmic shit.
Jonathan Majors, he looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some Bill fucking Murray, y'all. Bill Murray.
We want to know what Bill Murray's role is in this.
Bro, you know Bill Murray is like an unofficial Wu-Tang member.
Yes, he is. That is true.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
god, I hate her haircut.
Oh shit.
Okay, now that is Kang, and I can tell you that just by his walk.
Oh
Yeah.
There we go. Now, remember what? Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said to Scott. That's the big thing you got to pay attention to. Because I actually went back and watched Loki. The last 2
Let's hear
episodes.
what he says. Oh, damn it, he already said it.
Try again.
So,
Keep going.
this place.
What are you so afraid of? There's something I never told you.
This place. It isn't what you think.
Yeah, it isn't what you think.
I can get you home.
I can get a shoehorn. What did he say?
If you help.
I'm trying.
So, what's it gonna be?
Yeah, they make it really hard to hear what he's saying. But he says something along the lines of like,
Yeah, he basically gives him an ultimatum.
yeah.
He basically told him. He basically said along the lines of, "You're kind of like you're." I can't say it the way he said. But basically, what he's saying is that remember when he was in the quantum universe and he actually didn't age. Remember, everybody else
Mhm.
aged. Scott Lang, when he came out, he was still the same age. His daughter got older. Everybody got older, but except for him.
Well, the way I took
And
what he
the
said
people, but
was
he
that
didn't blip.
but they're just
That's
saying.
the
I think what I took it as was like this quantum realm is not what you think it is. It's not just
Yeah,
everything
he
is
said,
tiny.
I can get
Also,
you home and give you more time if you help me.
okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's what he
so,
said.
and that's what he means. Like, this isn't what you think. It's not just a shrunk down world. It's also has temporal, time. It's also got time implications. Like you said, Stu, when he was in this realm, he didn't age.
he
Like time,
says.
time
He
goes
says
differently.
you're an interesting man, Scott Lang. You've lost a lot of time, but time isn't what you think. He's saying that because when he was in the quantum realm, he didn't age. When they had the
Right.
blip, and he was in the quantum world, he didn't age. Now in the quantum realm, I do know that there's these things called time vortexes, which is what Kang talks about a lot in the comics and the cartoons. Those time vortexes is what Scott Lang probably got caught in. That's why he never aged. Now, the Wasp, her mother aged inside of the quantum realm, but Scott Lang didn't. He was in it for 5 years and he didn't age at all. That's why
Mm,
Kang said that to him because Kang knows a lot
mhm.
about the quantum universe that they don't. There's a lot that he
Yeah.
knows. There's a lot that
Yeah.
even when he talks about
He's the time guy. He's the time travel guy. He said this place is
right, and that's what he
it is.
said. Right, that's why he said time isn't what you think. Now, if you go back and watch Loki, remember
I
what he
thought he said
told
this
them.
place isn't what you
He
think
said
it is.
time. He said no. He said time. He said time isn't what you think. But remember when we watched Loki, what he said to Loki and him, he said time is not a straight line.
Yeah.
And then remember, if we go back to Avengers, that second Avengers movie, remember Tony Stark put it as like a circle, and they used that to navigate their way back through time. And somehow
Mhm.
Kang in the future, or one of his variants, um, took that Bennett and improved upon it. Because remember, you got the Council of Kangs, which is just a
Right.
bunch of Kangs sitting there
Yep.
arguing with each other about time.
From the different
And
multiverse.
then, right, from different multiverses, right. And remember when he said, wait till you meet my variants. Remember, he said that. He said, wait till you meet my variants. And then he
Yep.
also said, when you can see time, when he said, when you can see time the way I do, you see everything. That's why everything is a circle, because that's how they look at time. It's a giant circle. Now, remember, he said it's not a straight line.
He
He said
definitely
it's not
just
a straight line.
said this. He definitely just said this place. It's not what you think it is.
Right.
That's what he
He
just said
says,
in the
and when
trailer.
he,
So he's
so when he
saying
was
that this
talking to Scott
quantum
Lang,
realm is not what
he,
you think it is. It's not
right.
what you think. It's not. It's not. It's not just a microscopic world. It has to do with time because that's Kang's
Now,
whole shtick. Time guy.
now, what I'm trying to understand was remember when Bill Murray was talking to Janet Van Dyne, he was like, I thought you were dead, but she wasn't.
Mm.
I remember she survived a long time in the quantum realm by
Wait, Bill
herself.
Murray. Bill Murray was in what?
In the trailer, he said that Janet Van Dyne, I thought you
He
were
said
dead.
something in the trailer. Bill Murray.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Wait a minute. Let me see what he said. Damn, I didn't hear him say shit. I just saw his face for like a second.
And then remember what Kang said in
Did I
Loki.
see Bill
He
Murray?
said, remember in Loki what Kang said? He said, your reality, everything you're holding on to, everything you call a life, I know how it ends. And remember, he told them also, the Avengers, he told Ant-Man, I paved the road. I paved that road. All they did was walk down it. So I think in this next set of movies that everything we saw leading up until now is everything that Kang put in place.
Bro, Bill Murray didn't say nothing just now. What are you
Yes, sir.
talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what Bill Murray said. Said Janet Van Dyne, I
When?
thought you were dead.
When
Right
does it
there
say?
in the trailer.
Right
Oh,
here?
in the trailer. No, it's in the background. They don't show him. They don't show his face when he said it, but you gotta listen. Like the sound is kind of messed up. Now remember the dude. Remember the guy that was
Hold on. Let me hear it.
There's something I never told you.
This place. It isn't what you think.
I will just say this trailer is very loud and annoying.
I can get you home.
That's Kang talking. He said, "I can get you home
And give you
and
more time.
and give you info on time
If you help me,
if you help me."
so what you gonna do?
When does Bill Murray talk?
was in there. He tells Janet Van Dyne, "I thought you were dead," because she was in there a long time. We know that, but they did get him.
He must tell her that in some other movie or something, and like in the last Ant-Man or something.
Now remember the guy that was in the last Ant-Man movie that had the suit, the other black suit. I think he's gonna be MODOK.
The Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, I think he's gonna the guy that was the yellow. I think he's gonna be MODOK.
That'd be dope. Yeah.
Because we still don't have a villain for Ant-Man 3.
Send me the link of what you're looking at, because Bill Murray does not talk in this trailer.
Sure.
Positive.
Now remember what he said to Ant. I remember what Kang told him in Loki. He said, "You're an Avenger. I killed you before." And we know Kang has killed many Avengers. We even in the comics, he's killed multiple Avengers, multiple different variants, multiple times over multiple timelines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now we know this.
Oh yeah.
But Loki, I don't know if because they talk about Jonathan Majors and how he has to play different versions of Kang. So he has to, like, he's not going to be the same Kang. He's got to have a different, like they were saying
well, in
how
Loki
he has to be.
he was the other Kang. He was the guy with no name or whatever, and then he'll be like the Council of Kang. So there's gonna be all that Council of Kang. He's gonna be playing every one of them, right? So theoretically, he'll probably have like 50 roles, but he probably won't talk.
Right.
For all
And
of
there's
them.
there's so many Kangs. It's
Mhm.
just right. And they roll.
I just hope it leads to Dr. Doom, man. That's all I care about.
All of this.
That's it.
We're
'Cause
gonna get Doom in there somewhere.
He's the big bad. He's Doom.
I don't know about this movie, but definitely maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah, we won't see him in this movie, but we hope that we truly hope that this somehow leads to a satisfying Doctor Doom appearance, not just some side villain in a Fantastic Four movie, but the villain of the Marvel universe, like he should be. And he should probably span over a whole phase. It might, so this is phase 6 with Kang. Phase 7, I think, should be just dedicated to Doom.
And don't forget about the Kang Dynasty. Don't forget about that too. Or
Right.
it's just a bunch of it's just a bunch of Kangs. Different
That's
forms.
phase 6.
Yeah. Just different forms, different ones. And like what we don't understand is that in certain timelines or certain iterations of their time, they all talk, they all get along, they all Like the Council of Kangs, they make decisions. They make decisions about the timeline, what's going this, what's that. But like the one Kang told him in Loki, like, listen, at the end when they killed him, he said, wait till you meet my variant. And because he knew, he already knew he knew he was gonna die, he knew it was gonna happen. He knew that she was gonna kill him, and he knew she couldn't help herself. But he also knows, you know what I mean? He also knows what's gonna happen. And like he said, I paved the route. And all y'all did was just walk on it. Like he told Scott Lang, you're an interesting man, Scott Lang. Lost a lot of time. But time isn't what you think. So maybe he might offer him the one thing Scott Lang wanted, to get the time back with his daughter that he missed in exchange for something. Because Kang go do something like that.
Yeah.
And Scott will have to make a decision. But it's something that he needs Scott to do that he can't do himself. Or he wants Scott to do. And that's what's going to be. Right. And that's what's going to be.
Help me or die.
Right. And I'll give you back the time you missed.
But Kang looks dope.
Yeah, he looks dope. I'm glad they're going with his comic book look.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah, he's looking. Yeah,
you
just like. Yeah, he's got the tunic. The helmet looks good. The blue face, everything is on point. I'm happy.
Right.
Yeah,
but you gotta understand, if he don't look the way he's supposed to look, man, you gonna have a riot on your hands.
I'm telling you.
Right.
You got two cubes.
Yeah. I remember in one of the movies, Janet Van Dyke told Scott, don't get stuck in a time vortex. But I think that's what Scott was stuck in. That's why he didn't age. I really think that that was the reason why he.
Right. That's the whole thing with Kang, man. It's time vortex shit.
Right.
All time related with Kang.
But also the Avengers traveling back in time to get the Infinity Stones is something that Kang set in motion too.
Exactly. Kang was all up in that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Now they said time is in the shape of a Morbius strip, inverted. That's what I'm trying to get to. But that's what Tony Stark came up with the idea, and that's what allowed them to travel through time. But also with Kang, I think that he's going to talk about how because he can reach into any time, took Tony Stark's idea and then improved upon it.
Yeah.
And we gotta wait and see. And that's what I'm talking about when he was telling them that time is not a straight line. It's not what you think. It's not a straight line. Like he told Loki, it's not a straight line. It's not what you think. And if you go back and you watch those last 2 episodes of Loki, especially the one where they're talking to Kang, it's deep. It makes a lot of sense once you start seeing some of the stuff they're trying to do.
Oh yeah.
And
no, it's all planned out, bro. It's all planned out. They got a nice setup. They had a great setup with Loki. They have a great format with the shows. That was a great thing that they did by incorporating the shows with the movies. And I'm really excited about the prospect of these specials, just because now if you would have told me about the specials being taken the place of the show format, I would have been dead set against it. I'd have been like, that's gonna suck. But Werewolf by Night was so good.
It was.
I'm going. I still don't think it should take the show format, but if it can be an addition to what they already have, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like some of the shows that would have been shows are going to be better as these specials, apparently, and that's probably so. Like, and I even think some of them shows that they did were stretched out. Like,
they could have been a movie. Some of them could have been a movie.
Definitely,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that could have been a movie. What else? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Moon Knight.
Come out. Hawkeye, that could have been a movie. I think that could have been a movie. Yeah. Miss Marvel, that could have been a special. I'm trying to think. What other shows have there been? Whew.
Yeah, no. I mean, Moon Knight could have been a special or a movie.
Yeah, I think that could have been a special too. Yeah. Oh yeah, or a great movie.
Yeah, but with the Silver Surfer, that Norrin Rad was talking about, that is the rumor over at entertainment news site Cosmic Circus, which claims that a Silver Surfer TV special could be making its way to Disney Plus sooner rather than later. Yeah,
I think that would work. It will work as a special. Yeah.
For those who don't remember or would rather forget, the last time we saw him was in 2007's Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and generally appears, when heralding the arrival of Galactus, the big, world devouring entity, next to whom Thanos would be a little, a shrew.
I actually thought Silver Surfer was great in that movie. It was just everything surrounding that, and then making Galactus a cloud was just awful.
Yeah.
But I think Silver Surfer.
The movie was good though. Yeah, the movie was good.
Yeah,
the movie was
The
good.
Silver Surfer part was good. The Silver Surfer stuff was good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we did see,
but they did say budget cuts. They did say that's why Galactus looked the way he did, because of budget cuts.
Well, okay, if they had just scrapped Doctor Doom, then there you go. You have some more budget, because he didn't need to be in that film. So
no, he didn't.
Yeah,
there you go. There's your budget.
Yeah, that's true. And
he didn't even look like Doom.
I would love to see him come back in like a fun Marvel format, Silver Surfer. And we know the company is moving forward with the more presentations, that help introduce or highlight characters while avoiding the longer work and expanse, demanded by a 10-episode TV series or a 3-hour feature film. And it's a good way to like set up. But that's what I was trying to say. Like the MCU incorporating Disney Plus, whether it's the shows or the specials or whatever, is such a cool way to bridge the gap between films and to lead up and tell stories that, would be wasted time to tell in a film. So it's a dope way, because in comic books that exists, like one-offs, one-shots, and, mini series and stuff like that to go with the bigger, comic series. So it's just like the comics.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea. I think the execution was just a little sloppy, and it got to a point where like you were watching some of these movies, maybe not some, but like there's one movie you would watch and you would have to watch the show to understand like really what was happening. And I think that's where you fail, because you should be able to have both exist and work together. But also, if you want to watch each separately, you'll understand what's going on. But that just boils down to having a good writer a part of the project, really.
Yeah. And with comic books, it is the same way. Like, you get that one, the one shot. But we are already getting a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special later this year, and the Cosmic Circus, the rumor is suggesting that we will see the mysterious in progress Silver Surfer project debut in the same way on Disney Plus. Like, not this Christmas, I don't think, but at some point for some special. But it would make sense to do the same, for Silver Surfer, especially given the critical response to that last film that he appeared in, because that was just, he
had a lot of potential.
He deserves better.
It really did.
That was serious,
honestly, this feels like a thin rumor so far. So I haven't seen more about it, but it does seem likely in the context of the MCU, because we know that since Disney's acquisition of Fox was completed in 2019, the merged companies have had, big ambitions for the previously owned Fox-owned IPs, the X-Men's and the possible X-Men link at the end of Ms. Marvel shows another route for some of those Fox IPs to link to the MCU too. And we already have a Fantastic Four movie confirmed for 2024, and Silver Surfer special would be a great way to set up that film story ahead of the theatrical release, or maybe, especially if Galactus is being set up as the next big bad for the MCU at some point. Currently, that position goes to Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, who's set to be the focus for the next Avengers movies and Kang Dynasty all the way up through 2025. But I'm just hoping that they go to Doom next. Galactus, it can be in the same phase as Doom.
He would take away from Doom.
But he would.
Be like the overarching big bad. No, they got to be separate.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as good because they both have such great stories that would deserve their own phase, I think. So, but I just don't want to plan shit 10 years down the road. Like I want to see Galactus and Doom before I die.
I think they'll be seen.
Well, the Ant-Man movie confirms Kang coming. We know he's coming, but he confirms actually. You know what I mean? It actually brings him in. So it's gonna start there, and who knows where it's gonna finish. But either way, the Ant-Man movies have been great. You can't do nothing but take your hat off to the Ant-Man movies.
No,
I don't know anybody that would sit there and say, "Oh, Ant-Man wasn't that great." It was good, and the first movie was actually
the second one was not.
The first one was actually written. The first was actually written by Marvel writers. They actually wrote that story, and they bragged about it, and it was good. And I take my hat off to them. I don't know who turned it into a screenplay, but the Marvel writers were like, "No, we wrote that. That's our." And like me and Reno always say, especially Reno, why can't you let them write it and you just screenplay?
Yeah.
Like they have dope writers over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would require giving them credit. So yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it's all about. They'd have to give them credit, and that's why they changed the content so much that they can take credit and say, "Look what I made," rather than "Look what I adapted" or whatever. That's what I think it is. But
I think the Ant-Man films have been kind of on a shaky ground. Like the first one was fine, and then the second one for me was not memorable. I didn't like it. And I think because it was very much more comedic, they said, okay, the third time around, let's flip the script and have like a bit of both. Let's have a little bit of seriousness with Kang and everything, and also keep that light spirit that Scott carries around with him, which I think will work in its favor. I mean, we'll see.
For Guardians.
Yeah. And I feel like they're trying to flip the script, especially because of how Thor: Love and Thunder came out, where it was very serious at the beginning. Then they had a lot more comedy, and it was kind of a lightning in a bottle situation. Then they tried to capitalize, and it didn't work. So they said, let's not have that with Ant-Man. Let's try something different. So I think it'll work in its favor. I hope so.
Norrin Rad said, I agree with Sada. I think the short movie format is just being cheap and lazy. Rushed movies take more time and thought.
Yeah, I think the short movie format, it work depending on the character. Like Miss Marvel, she's brand new. I think a special, an hour-long thing just to kind of introduce her and flesh her out. Perfect. Yeah. We didn't need 6 episodes for that. We didn't need 6 episodes for like Hawkeye or like. I just don't like
hour-long movie.
Yeah, like I don't even think we needed a movie for her. Like
a little special.
Yeah, like I think
special would have been good.
It depends on what you do.
If it would have been as good as Werewolf by Night, yeah, you can give me a special all day long. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Werewolf by Night was good. That was good.
Yeah, and they were also creative, with their cinematography and everything. So
yeah.
And speaking of movies, there's another movie that just wrapped up filming. It's actually done, and we'll be getting it sometime next year. Transformers: Beast Wars.
Oh my God, that's right. There is a new Transformers movie. They cast some people too, and I completely
Rise of the Beasts, 2023.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's coming up.
Peter Cullen's gonna be his usual self. Anthony Ramos is Noah. The Optimus Primal. That's gonna be interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
Dominique Fishback is gonna be Elena, and we have Pete Davidson as Mirage. That's gonna be interesting as well. To hear him.
I still want to see a 1980s Transformer movie with Soundwave and a tape deck, and he turns into a boombox, and damn it.
I mean, we
Robots.
got a little bit of it in the Bumblebee movie, but he didn't eject the tapes. Like he didn't,
Yeah.
But
Ooh, we have
Rise of the
a
Beast,
director.
Rise of the Beast is a big deal because it's a rebooting of the franchise again.
Yeah, we need that.
But to be honest with you, Transformers is what 7 movies or something like this. Made a couple $1 billion. It's proven to be a lucrative franchise. I think personally, people keep coming back because they're waiting for them to get it right, and they can run around and right. But
Yeah, and
Michael
Bay's
Bay,
not in this one. He's not a part of this
right?
one, so
That might. Yeah, that
yeah,
could be.
it's a different director for this movie.
Yeah,
Because
the
I got burned
director
out.
is,
Like I love like the first Transformers movie. I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is cool. And then I immediately got burnt out. Like after the second one, it's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
over it. Yeah, I was over it pretty quick. Because again, I'm like, I want to see the the 80s versions of these robots. Like I don't want to see these weird new versions. That's not how I remember them looking. I don't want to see that. I want to see, you know what I'm saying?
and
I
that's
want
what.
this
And you know
take
what,
place
Reno,
in the
you're right.
80s
Man.
with 80s cars and 80s, boom boxes and things like that.
Yeah, I think they
No,
had
you're
some
right,
with the
Reno.
first one, and then it just fell
No, you're
apart.
right. Because a lot of people, they said that when you watch that Bumblebee movie, they said that's how the robots look.
I haven't seen
Michael
that one
Bay
yet.
got mad and pissed, and they said that it was good. And they said that
Mm.
Michael Bay got pissed and told him nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see them look like robots. That's corny.
Right.
Nobody. That's. But you got to remember that's what made them what they were in the first place. They look like robots, but they just transformed.
Dude, this is what's
And
so
then
stupid about
they said
Hollywood.
right. They said he went off so bad that they had to redesign him, and he kept saying, "Make him look more organic, make him look more
Yeah.
organic." So they did. And people hated it. People hated it, and he thought it was the best thing. So then you get Bumblebee, and they go back to the original way they wanted him to look, and people loved it. People loved it so much they loved it more than the original Michael Bay. They were like, so they found out that Michael Bay was wrong. They're like, oh,
I need to
just
see
wrong.
that. Yeah, I need to see Bumblebee then.
Anyone will figure that out by the second movie, or by the fourth one when they had Transformium when that was introduced. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The metal that makes them. Yeah, the metal that makes them.
Like, why did you even need an explanation for that?
I'm just worried about Beast Wars because it's like, is that gonna look cool? Like they transform into gorillas and wolves and stuff, like with fur.
Yeah,
I mean,
bro. You ever watch the Whoa? Oh, wait, time. Did you ever see Beast
time
Wars?
out.
Did you ever see the Beast Wars cartoon, the CG?
No. In all fairness, I did not. So,
bro, that was dope.
Is it
that was
Beast
dope.
Machines?
That was dope. No, it was Beast Wars, not Beast Machines. Beast Machines came later. Beast Wars, because in Beast Wars, they're saying in this movie you're gonna have three factions of Transformers now, and they're gonna go to war with each other, which is dumb because that's not how it goes. So
that's not how it goes. See,
you got this. No.
Tell them how it goes.
You got no. You got the Predacons, the Maximals, and the Terracons. Okay, for all you out there watching right now, Predacons and Maximals used to be Autobots and Decepticons. So it's in the future. Beast Wars actually happens in the future. So Autobots and Decepticons actually become Maximals and Predacons. And Predacons are Decepticons. They literally are ancestors. I mean, they literally are ancestors of the Decepticons.
Right.
And same thing with the Maximals. Terracons were a group of combiners that combined to form a large, giant robot. And that's what Terracons were. They were never a faction. They were always Decepticons. So if you were to put them in the future or had their ancestors come, they would be Predacons. So I don't understand why we have to have three factions at war and throw the Terracons in there like they're whole separate. They're not a whole separate faction. So I don't get it. I don't get why they're doing that, but it's Hollywood. So
it says that the Beast Wars franchise directly follows the Transformers Generation 1 continuity established by the 1984 series and animated film. It ignores the continuity established by the Japanese Transformers series, though this franchise would have 2 exclusive Japanese series of its own. Previous to Beast Wars, Hasbro has attempted to relaunch the original toys and animation as Transformers Generation 2. Hasbro intended for another franchise titled Transtech to follow, combining Beast Wars and Generation 1 characters and aesthetics, but this was canceled. Instead, the franchise began a series of reboots, beginning with the Japanese-produced Transformers Car Robot series. Internationally
The
known as
Japanese ones,
Transformers
the
Robots
Japanese
in
ones don't
Disguise.
count in America. Yeah, Japanese ones don't count. They just don't.
Right.
Because they're different. They're way different.
Yeah.
We do know Beast Wars is in the future. And we do know they did do a Netflix special where they had the G1 meet the new ones. And they got caught in some type of time vortex, and Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal fought alongside Megatron and Megatron from the future. And so it does make the way they do it, it makes sense because when you watch Beast Wars, Megatron has this disc, but I always wonder where he got it from. Like I was like, yo, where did he get that disc? But the disc told him how to get to Earth, and they came back in time in order to like. There's an episode where they actually find the G1 Transformers, and when they find them, they're all in stasis because remember they were in stasis from G1. So the Maximals had to protect the G1 Autobots and keep them in stasis and protect them from the Predacons because the Predacons, Megatron had this big idea. Well, look, what if I kill them and then we ain't got to worry about them? And then, so they actually, were kind of fighting to keep them alive. But in the Netflix series, Galvatron is the one that gave Megatron the disc. I always thought it would have been Megatron, but it wasn't. It was Galvatron. Galvatron is Megatron, but he gave him the disc and told him, and then he came back in time and told the other Megatron that he gave. It's kind of confusing.
What's Galvatron? Isn't Galvatron Megatron like advanced Megatron or something?
No, Unicron rebuilt Megatron to be Galvatron. He gave him a new body, new troops to command, and he called him and he renamed him Galvatron because he was heavily damaged after he fought Optimus Prime. Like, and it was surprising that he still remember when they threw him out of the shuttle. He was like, "Wait, I still function." And he was like, "Look, we got." He was like, "What did Starscream was like? Not anymore." So he just dropped him out, and then that's when Unicron found him, and then he went back to Cybertron for Starscream's coronation, and then he was like, "Megatron, is that you?" And he was like, "Here's a hint," and he transformed into the cannon and shot him. And then he was like, "Anybody else want to fill his shoes?" And everybody was like, "What did he say his name was?" It's like Galvatron. It's like, oh hell, Galvatron. But
it's in the comics.
It's a lot of time traveling.
In comics, it says Beast
what?
Wars and Beast Machines are the future of Generation 1 universe, and not specifically the original cartoon series or the Marvel Comics series. The writers of the series adopted this position in order to pick and choose the best elements of the discrete Generation 1 continuities. In the Omega Point storyline in the comics, several events lead up to a tremendous battle against Shockract, a Predacon fueled by the dark essence of Unicron himself. And this also serves as an introduction to Ape Link, and the only appearances of Windrazor, Sandstorm, Antagony, and Cataclysm. Let me guess. Ape Link
got Windrazor, Tigatron
is a gorilla robot. So okay, but let me ask you this: how are they integrated with animals of Earth, and why?
Okay, when Transformers on Cybertron, some of the robots don't transform. They just have a robot form. When they leave Cybertron to blend in, a lot of times they'll adopt another form. So, and the form also kind of protects them too, depending on what it's for. So what happens is in Beast Wars, they didn't have forms. They didn't transform. Optimus Primal, none of them. They didn't transform. They were just regular robots. when they came to Earth, the radiation from the energon was so high because Earth was just so raw, with minerals and energon. It was so high, it actually interfered with their robot forms. Their bodies drained it. They soaked up too much of it, and they would go into stasis lock. So when they got their beast forms, that's all the computer. Like when you go back to G1 and Teletran 1 was like, explore, repair, and then he scanned certain things and then came back and then made them into those things, the trucks, the cars, and all that. Well, when they did that with Teletran 1, which is Sentinel in the future, Sentinel only had animals to scan. That's all he had to scan. So when he scanned them, he came back, and that's how they got their beast forms. But the beast forms also protected them. Like you said, they pulled continuity. One thing about the Dinobots you got to know is like the Dinobots are the strongest. The robot, like when Optimus Prime transforms, he's stronger in the robot form. But when the Dinobots transform, they're reversed. They're stronger in dinosaur form. They're more vulnerable in robot form. They're weaker. And but when they transform, they're armored, like they're armor plate. You can't even shoot through their armor. So it's like Megatron and them always try to get them to transform and then shoot them up. The only robot that in the original series that didn't need it was I think Rampage. He was the only one that could like soak it up. He didn't really, his robot form really did. And then they did Transmetal. Transmetal helped them stay in robot form longer. Because after they stayed in robot form too long, they would start, glitching. And they had to transform back into their beast modes. All of them. Like this, that's Optimus Primal. The dinosaur is Megatron. So that's what they had, those forms. And it also protected them from the energon surges. So they wouldn't go into stasis lock. Megatron is the only one besides Shockwave that's stronger in his transform mode than he is in his robot mode. So Megatron as a gun or hand cannon is stronger than he is as a robot when he fires his weapon. Same thing with Shockwave. Shockwave's stronger as a cannon than he is as a robot, but he still has a high firepower. They all have different stats, and there's 3 that I know that's off the chart. 4 actually: Megatron, Galvatron, Optimus Prime, and Grimlock. Their firepower is off the chart. It's like a 10 plus. Yeah, Shockwave. Yeah. But there's also a story where Shockwave came to Earth and killed put all the Autobots into stasis because he got tired of sitting on Cybertron running out of energy. He got mad at Megatron. He came on Space Bridge and gave every Autobot work. And I mean, gave him work, had him in stasis. And the only ones that survived, I think, was like Ratchet, Bumblebee, and Wheeljack. And the rest of them, he put all of them in stasis. It was crazy. And I love that. I love that storyline. I wish I still had those comics. I really do. Because it was a good story.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's hard for me to watch these animated.
Yeah, they're old. Yeah, they old. They show their age. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But
Jesus, look at that.
Megatron.
Like robots.
That's Megatron. Yeah, that's Megatron right there. Back in that's Megatron. That's Optimus Prime or Optimus Primal.
Oh, okay. Optimus is the T-Rex.
The gorilla. Yeah, no, the T-Rex is Megatron.
Okay.
There he is transformed in robot mode.
I'm seeing the vision.
Yeah. And man, this looks like some 1980s CG.
See how he's going like that?
The bullet. Yeah. Oh,
now that right there, that Velociraptor, that's Dinobot.
Oh yeah, they attempted
now he switched
to do that, right?
From Predacon. He switched from Predacon to Maxim. He challenged Megatron for leadership, lost, and then went to the Maximals.
They can make this work in modern time, definitely.
And that's Cheetor. That's Cheetor. He's kind of like Bumblebee, but that's Cheetor. That's Megatron getting energon surge right there. He'd have to transform in robot form, so he going to stasis lock.
Man. Yeah, it's
listen, Reno, it is outdated. I can't lie. Reno, I can't lie. When they did come out with it, I'm gonna be honest with you. When they came out with it, it was dope because we hadn't
I
seen
bet.
anything like that. Nobody had ever.
Right.
Nobody made a whole cartoon like that. But
Right.
it has aged. It has aged.
Oh my
It
god.
has aged.
Not too well. Not too well.
It has aged. And like you said, not too well. It hasn't. And even the guys that the original, I watched the interview with the original artists that did it, and they were talking about it. And they said that. They said at the time that's what we had. It was like,
Yeah.
and we couldn't,
Yeah.
you know, they said we were using top of the line stuff. And they said we paid for that. And it was like, but the thing was, they were saying that you know, as time went on and technology got better, they wished that they could have, you know, made it then. They also were saying how like some of the animations they had to use the same animations. It was a lot. It was a lot that they did, a lot of tricks they pulled to get it to work. But it worked, man. A lot of people talk about Beast Wars. I mean, if you grew up watching
I've
it, it was
heard of
good.
it.
I can't take that away
I've
from
heard
it.
of it.
I couldn't take that
No,
away
yeah.
from it, bro.
Yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
heard of it, and
Yeah.
and
Matter of fact,
hopefully, you know,
the
the movie I'm sure
environments,
will look
yeah, like
way better.
yeah, like if you look
I
at the
just don't know
environments
how
when
it's
you
gonna
watch it,
look.
that's
They
what
could
see,
do
that's
it.
my thing.
I
Yeah, I don't know
can't
how it's gonna look
translate it
either.
like a furry gorilla with the robot. I can't. It can't. It
It
just
might not be fur though. It might mostly be mechanical. They might not have
Is
that
it?
fur aspect, so it doesn't
So,
look.
so is that what
But
it
still,
is? They're robots that just look like animal shapes, or they really have fur
I
and
don't.
scales and shit.
It
Nah,
depends
they
on what
look
they
like
want to do.
they're supposed to look like you just saw them
Yeah.
on it. Like, you know what? See if you can you punch up the Netflix one? They show them on Netflix. And they were probably
Mm.
they're probably supposed to look more like that. I actually hold on. I actually got Optimus Primal. Hang on. I actually have an Optimus
Yeah.
Primal. Hang on one second. I'll show you exactly what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I don't know if they're
Oh,
necessary.
the War for Cybertron. Yeah, Beast Wars War. Yeah, that's on Netflix.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just don't see how it could translate in
Unless, yeah, unless
Alright,
they do
this
it
is-
like where it's mostly mechanical. If they want to do it like that. Otherwise, I'm not
Alright.
sure either. But
All right, this is what Optimus Primal looks like. Transformed without the gorilla form. This is what he looks like. Yeah, this is what he looks
so
like.
and
Got a little
so he's
fur
got-
on him, little fur.
Yeah, he's got the fur. Right.
A
Yeah.
little robot fur going on. But
Yeah,
as
I'll have
a
to see
robot,
it, man. I will definitely have to see it because I don't know how.
you know
it's
what?
gonna, I
Reno,
can't-
watch it.
in
Reno,
my
watch the
mind.
Netflix one. Yeah, watch the Netflix one, Reno. Because that
The War for Cybertron.
yeah, watch that. That's dope. It's super dope. It's super dope, bruh. I was
Is
blown
that?
away
But
by
that's
it.
not Beast Wars though, right? That's
But it goes into Beast Wars. It goes into
goes
Beast
into-
Wars. Because they actually
Beast
go back.
Wars
They actually
mhm.
go. They actually go. I'm not gonna say forward. They go forward in time. Because they're back in
this-
time, so they go forward in time.
Well, I'm looking at a thing on here where it's saying that Netflix is gonna get Beast Wars is gonna be the the Transformers rather the storyline for Beast Wars is gonna make it into War of Cybertron in the Netflix show. So are you saying that they're also making a Beast Wars film to go to theaters, or are you just talking about this Netflix show that they're talking about with
No,
Beast
the
Wars?
new Transformers movie is called Rise of the Beast, which is based on Beast Wars, the '90s cartoon, the '90s CG.
Okay.
Netflix did a Transformers special called War for Cybertron, which is based
Right.
off of the video game, which
Right.
incorporated Beast Wars into it, that filled in a lot of plot holes that needed to be filled in Beast Wars. Like I said with Megatron, if you watch Beast Wars, you'd have been like, yo, where did Megatron get that disc? Nobody, even Dinobot kept asking, like, yo, where'd you even get that? But in the Netflix series, they tell you where he got it. Galvatron gave it to him. And they show you how it all came about and how they found out about the planet. Because they didn't, how would Megatron know to go back in time to Earth to where the Autobots and the Decepticons crashed?
But bro, the Netflix series ain't gonna help me because that's not live action. I know it can be done animated, but what I'm trying to figure out is how Beast Wars would look in live action. Are they gonna have like furry
And live
gorillas?
yeah. Oh, I'm
That's what
listen.
I'm
I'm with you. No. I'm with you on that. I want to know how it's gonna look in live action. I
right,
mean,
right, right.
listen, the Dinobots look the coolest shit in the thing, but I just wish they'd look more like
Mm,
they supposed to look.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know what I mean. But it still was cool to see them in the movie. But either way you look at it, we just gotta wait and see. I mean, are we gonna get Optimus Prime looking like? Or are we gonna get some organic iteration
Who
that
knows?
just isn't?
Hopefully, the
That
new
just isn't
director won't want to carry that tradition on of them being
right.
organic.
Right. Because people look right now. If you watch Bumblebee, Reno, if you just watch the beginning, you can punch it up on YouTube. If you watch the beginning of Bumblebee, just the first like 5 minutes of the movie where they're on Cybertron, that's the dopest part of the movie. The movie's still good, but the best
Right.
part is right in the beginning. They show them on Cybertron fighting. They show Optimus Prime. I mean, even if we can punch it up now and show it, they show Optimus Prime. It's dope. They show Soundwave. He looked like Soundwave. They show
Yeah,
Starscream. As a matter of fact, what I thought was the dopest thing of all is they show all the jets in their Cybertronian spaceship form. I love that. I thought that was the dope because they're like triangles. They're like flying triangles, and I thought that was the dopest thing ever.
right, right, right. Yeah, I got to see that Bumblebee movie too because I forgot that I heard that it was more like the 80s, more like the cartoon, the way they looked and stuff. But Marvel, there's a rumor that Marvel is scaling back the Black Panther Wakanda Forever merch plans out of concern that the sequel's lack of T'Challa may alienate black male audiences
What?
through through so even though the brand is blowing up for Marvel's financial back and ever since his debut, Black Panther, but a new rumor is suggesting that the studio is scaling back its merchandising plans for Black Panther Wakanda Forever out of concern that the sequel's focus on the franchise's female characters could partially alienate the character's key consumer demographic of black men.
I don't
Following
even know
the
what that. I don't even know what that means. To be honest with you,
well,
I
yeah,
don't
but
even know what that
following
means.
I mean, well,
It's like you.
so after
It's like you even
yeah,
talking a different. It's like you talking a different language. To me. Like, I don't even know what that means.
crazy,
I don't even
right?
know how to take that.
Saying that's
Why is
what
that
they
even
saying.
like? Yeah, but like, what is like
Yeah,
seriously? Like, what
basically
does it
they
mean? Like, what does
want
it
their
mean?
core
Like,
audience to get the merch, and because they
Right.
decided foolishly to not recast, well, that's my opinion, but they
Yeah.
decided to not recast. They think, oh, if Black Panther's not really in the merch, the main core of our audience is not really going to buy the merch, which means less money. So
And
okay,
they're not
okay. Once
totally
again,
crazy for that, thinking that. I
okay.
mean,
Once again, what does that even mean? Like, how?
I
Like,
think they want the merch sales to do well,
yeah.
and I guess they feel like, with
let me
the
tell you
absence
something.
of Black
Let me explain
Panther,
something to y'all. Let me
then
ask y'all a
yeah.
question. How much Black Panther merch did you actually see when Black Panther came out? Let's keep it about. Not a lot. Not a lot of
Oh no,
T-shirts.
I didn't see any, and I didn't
Not a
really
lot
buy
of.
any.
Not a lot of toys. Not a lot of nothing. Let's keep that about.
Bunch of
We didn't
action
see a lot of
figures,
nothing.
some Legos and
Yeah,
shit.
that's it. Yeah, but no
But
real
they're
merch like they did. Like they did with Avengers. We got T-shirts. We got pants. We got sneakers. We got Avengers
yeah.
socks. We got Avengers cakes. They didn't do all that with Black Panther. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm asking the question. That's why I'm like, what does that mean? Because when it came, like same thing with Mandalorian, they dropped the ball on that with the merch,
Oh
especially
yeah.
with Grogu.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just their way of saying we dropped the ball with the merch on the first Black Panther, and then we dropped the ball with the Chad Bo when Chad Boseman died. They should have just bought out a bunch of Black Panther merch, just to honor the man, and just to promote something. But they didn't, so they dropped the ball on that. So now what? Now
Well,
you,
it
I
says
don't know.
following the untimely passing of original Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman, a major topic of discussion among both fans and analysts was just how Disney and Marvel would tackle the future of Wakanda's resident hero without the franchise's star. Yet, with the slow trickling out of the film's promotional material, it soon became evident that the sequel would center around T'Challa's female allies, including his sister Shuri, Dora Milaje leader Okoye, and his former love interest Nakia, and their newfound companion Riri Williams. However, despite the Black Panther brand having become one of Marvel's biggest, particularly among Black audiences, it appears that Wakanda Forever's lack of a male lead and a certain extent Boseman's performance specifically as the studio taking a far more cautious approach to the film's merchandising. So basically, they know that they fucked up by not recasting T'Challa.
Yeah, because that's right. That's what that tells me. Like, y'all set yourselves up.
Exactly. And then it
What it
says,
tells
according
me
to alleged
is,
insider
I
sources,
don't know what the hell they talking about.
according to alleged insider sources whose insights were relayed directly to Bounding Into Comics by entertainment reporter insider Valiant Renegade, many licensed product manufacturers have cut back on their Black Panther products versus their more standard mapping for their categories with respect to what they would usually do with a property with an upcoming over $1 billion exposure push. This means either limiting Wakanda Forever's line depth, less SKUs, and or smaller production runs, which entail higher per unit costs, but reduces inventory exposure, he added. Surprisingly, though, he admitted that those with the colder feet are those who bring the most value added to the product category, such as action figure manufacturers. Valiant Renegade then revealed that this far even extends to categories that rely on printed visuals to deliver the license, generally cheaper with less upfront cost loading. Recent projects have shown lowered returns, so the lower volume business case will likely be the most profitable once costs are all in, he said. In other words, should there be a huge merch breakthrough, which can vary significantly by category, well, manufacturers will just chase it. As to why Marvel was expressing such caution with Wakanda Forever's merchandising, Valiant Renegade turned to supposed focus group findings and explained that the company fears stemmed from the fact that Black Panther is not a property or a mantle, but rather a very specific character whose appeal is very male, even more than usual. This seems especially true with Black men, he highlighted, clarifying that more intricate focus studies would be needed to confirm this observation as fact. The perception of the hero is not only from his solo movie, but is the sum of all his on-screen exposure. Sadly, noting that comics don't score here. Black men have the strongest relationship with the character, with an interesting, strong pop on the father-son dynamic, he said. Black men identify with the Black King, strong male figure, word association, noble strength, how the character holds himself. They admire that in the hero, inspiring to them. To this end, the insider detailed the above carries over to fathers and sons, as seeing the movies was a great bonding experience for many Black men and their sons. I'm Italian, and me and my son bonded as well. So. But in mom groups, this came up as my husband, boyfriend, ex took their son to see the movies with the character in it, sometimes twice. These outings would sometimes include a detour to a toy retailer on the way home. So not only would Black men see Black Panther entertainment, sometimes multiple times with different groups of friends, but would also take sons, nephews, etc. to them. Now that's how you rack up multiple viewings. Some very nice focus stories to hear right there. It goes on and on and on and on. I can read this whole thing to you. You guys can go check it out if you want. But yeah, they like bottom line though is that they know they fucked up and they know that people are not going to be happy with this. Like people are going to miss T'Challa and they know it.
Right.
So
we supposed to. Yeah, we
it was a
supposed to.
stupid.
But my thing is,
I'm not going to.
Yeah. But my thing, Reno, is what does all that mean?
That means less money in their pockets. That's what that means. And they are really banking on this movie to be successful. They really
then make it good.
want
Make
this
it good.
to be. Yeah, but
you're right, Simon. They make it good.
they're gonna bank on a little more than just the strength of the film. They're gonna want
Yeah.
to look at the merch sales. So
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I
right,
get it.
because merch,
people make a
right?
lot
Because
of
merch is
decisions based on
no
merch
merch is
sales.
a lot. Because when Batman
Oh,
came out
that,
in '89, people thought that Jack
bro,
Nicholson was crazy. I
bro,
didn't even want a salary from the movie. I
yeah,
just want rights to all the merch, the Batman symbol. That's all I want.
yeah.
And look how much money he made.
Well, he knew
Everybody
because
had Batman T-shirts.
yeah. And Star Wars is
Yeah,
like the main one that started that shit with merch. Like Star Wars started the whole
yeah,
action figure line. I mean, the 3.75-inch figures started with Kenner and Star Wars toys that nobody wanted. Hasbro turned them down, Mattel turned them down. George Lucas could not find anyone to buy his toys or his merch because sci-fi wasn't really a big thing at the time. And at the time, action figures were 12 inches. And
yeah,
all the Star Wars toys were centered around the vehicles, the spaceships, and all that. Well, you got a 12-inch character. How big is the Millennium Falcon gonna fucking have to be, right? So
Right.
right.
they went to the head of Kenner and they were trying to think about what can we do, and the guy's like, well, make the fucking figure smaller, and then you can fit the vehicle around. And they're like, well, how big should the figure be? He literally held his finger up like this. They brought over a ruler, and it happened to be 3.75 inches. And that's why we have 3.75-inch figures from G.I. Joe on down the line, because he held his fingers about that far and he said about that big. And they took a ruler next to his fingers, and that's how we got the size. That's a pretty cool tidbit.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
like that kind of shit. I'm into that kind of shit.
Very nice.
yeah. I like that kind of stuff too. No, I do. I like it too. If you ever watch the Toys That Made Us on Netflix, they talk about that. They have a
They,
whole section on Star Wars. They have a
the toys
whole
that
thing
made
on
it,
Star Wars. How they, yeah,
check this out. You got to see this then, because that was great. History Channel has one that just came out called "The Toys That Built America," and that's just like the toys that made us, talking about, G.I. Joe and Star Wars. But
I gotta watch that.
bro, it's dope. I haven't finished it. I got it on pause. Like, I'm gonna finish watching it after the show. It's dope.
Okay.
History
Because
Channel.
people gotta realize, yeah, people gotta realize toys is a lot, man. They mean a lot. They shaped a lot. They did a lot. Like,
Oh yeah.
I remember, man. Like, toys has a deep history, bro. Like, it's not just something for kids. It's like it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
adults that made them.
Right.
Studios make big decisions based off merch and toy sales and everything like that. So
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah. And now,
Because you gotta give the
now the generation that started buying those action figures was, our generation. Now we're 40s and 50s years old, but we still buy them. Look at my shelf. Like, I got 100 fucking action figures right here behind me, and we buy them more than kids. I mean, exactly. I mean, I think action figures are really bought far more by 40-year-old men than kids. I mean, I don't know any kids that play with action figures these days. I mean, they're either with their phone,
no,
the video game. It's all about technology. Kids ain't playing with plastic toys that much anymore. So all these toys
no.
are being bought by us.
Yeah,
And
and it's only, but you know what, Reno, is rightfully so because that's what we grew up on, and now that we're
right.
older, they got better. Articulation got better, and we see it. We like, oh man, that's dope. I gotta have
Exactly.
that. Man, so they'd be a fool not to make it for us, or not to make anything, for somebody out here. You'd be a fool as a toy maker not to.
You gotta capitalize.
Here's a great.
Exactly.
This is a great example. Let me see. Can I show y'all these? This is a great example right here of what I'm talking about, of what we're talking about. Let me see. All right, clear some shit away. I'm gonna move my camera. So this is the toys that. Here we go. Slide that out the way. All right, that is the toys we grew up with. That's Crocmaster. That's cool. That's 3.75 inches. There he is, right? This is Crocmaster now.
Ooh, look at that. My goodness. Father and son.
I mean, look at the detail. Like, so much more detail. The head isn't way too big for his body. Yeah, but like, that's it. Like, they can put and they did smart by making these 7-inch, 6 and 7-inch figures, because you can fit a lot more detail and like, you know, all his little guns and shit come out of the holster and all of that stuff. Like these guys had guns that were painted on their leg and molded onto the plastic. Like not only do their guns come out of the holsters, but the clips come out of the gun. Like you can load clips into the machine guns. Like now, it's crazy. It's crazy the detail that they're going through now. But that's the dramatic difference of the same toy from 1980 to now, like the 80s to now. And you know,
Right.
who do you think they did that?
But
for?
that's what we wanted. We wanted more articulation, more detail.
Exactly. And they didn't do that for little kids.
Because if you made that, I was getting ready to say, yeah, it's choking parts. If you made that for little kids, it's choking parts. They might put it in their mouth and choke on it, whatever.
That's why the choking hazards are there.
Yeah, and that's why you see that's why you see Batman. You'll see like a DC multiverse, like Todd McFarlane Batman figure that's all dope and shit, like 7-inch figure, beautifully detailed. And right next to it, they'll have a 12-inch Batman figure that's just plasticky and cheap looking. Like that's for the kids. This little detailed motherfucker, that's for the collectors. And they make a version. They make a version for the kids. They make a version for the collectors of every toy.
Yeah. Speaking of Batman, in January we're gonna get a continuation of Batman. The Adventures continue from the animated series. We're gonna get that in a comic book form, and it's gonna pick up right where the cartoon left off.
Nice.
And I forget. I think it's a 6-issue run. It's going to use the same art style and everything. So the art's going to be the same. All the characters are going to be there. I just don't know what the stories are going to be, but I do know it's going to be a continuation of that series in comic book form.
Whew. That's gonna be fun.
I know. And are you going to pick some
up? When does it come out? January, you said?
January, yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's going to run until June, because I think that this is going to be like 6 issues. It's going to run monthly. Nice. So it'll probably be pretty thick. It'll probably be pretty thick every time it comes out. Probably like 32 pages or something like that.
All right, y'all. Well, it is 9:30. It is 9:30 p.m. It's time to call it a night, unless you guys have something else to cover.
No, can't think of anything.
No, I think we covered it all.
Yeah,
I think we did. We were very thorough. We hit a lot of points. Let's see. Yeah. Ooh-wee. Here's looking at you, kid.
Nice.
Yeah, we covered Ant-Man and the Wasp. We covered that Black Panther. Yeah, we good. Yeah. Well, guys, we will be back Wednesday, of course, for our review. I'm not sure what we're gonna talk about Wednesday yet, actually, but so stay tuned. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, we got to talk about Andor.
Well, of course, and that goes without saying. Yes,
Andor.
She-Hulk is done, right? So no She-Hulk.
Yes,
She-Hulk's
done. Sometime last.
Game of Thrones is done.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is done. Rings
of Power is done. Yeah. So other than Andor, there's nothing currently popping for Wednesday, but and then we'll be back Saturday for DC Power Hour. Y'all already know. So don't forget, guys. Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time across the board. Same bat time, same bat channel. Y'all already know. Peace. We'll see y'all then.
Peace.